Chapter 458. Oh, by the way, the 500,000 I earned yesterday has been transferred to your account. Don't rent a house in the poor areas in America. I heard that it's very chaotic there. Just rent a high-end apartment or even a villa. Anyway, earning money is like playing a game to me. Everything can be saved, but money can't be saved. What else can I save if not money? You can save your life if you don't save money. Recently, the internet has been reporting about how international students are doing overseas. I'm not by your side, so I'm feeling anxious. Alright, I'll listen to you. He didn't lack money. Qin Guang was right. He estimated that by the end of the month, the traffic from his Weibo account would be no less than 1 million. If he really didn't have enough money, what a joke. Although Lioli's big business deal hasn't been finalized yet, I'm the boss of a big company with a market value of more than 100 million, okay? Zhou Xian leaned over to his bedside and kissed him hard on the cheek. Alright, don't be sad. We're still young and have a long way to go. Alright, I'll get up later to eat. I'm really not in the mood right now. I get it. You must think that the maintenance fee is too expensive. I only slept with you for a night and you spent 500,000 yuan. Even a normal celebrity can't reach my net worth. Zhou Xian laughed again. Speaking of which, Qin Guang's heart hurt even more when she said that. Actually, Qin Guang knew that she was joking. If she was really that kind of woman, she wouldn't have gone to find someone else to support her. Just marrying Zhou Long alone would have cost more than a few million. She had already decided that she was going to marry Qin Guang, which was why she was willing to accept his sponsorship. Perhaps she wasn't qualified to marry him, but Zhou Xian had already treated him and her as a real family. How about this, you get up and eat first. Then you lie down and don't move and I'll try it myself? Actually, what the doctor said might not be entirely correct. I haven't felt anything strange since 2 days ago. Maybe it'll work if we slow down a little? Zhou Xian gently moved her mouth to Qin Guang's ear again, her hot breath blowing into his ear. Qin Guang sat up straight. Alright. It's decided then. There were some things that one had to believe in. Ouch. Ouch. Oh my god. No way. I can't take it anymore. Zhou Xian was sprawled on the bed, sweating profusely. Her entire body was trembling violently as if she had epilepsy. Her smooth, jade-like back was covered with beads of perspiration. Her perky buttocks were moving up and down, and her entire body was curled up like a poodle that had been beaten. She was also gasping for breath when she spoke, unable to catch her breath. Qin Guang turned his body and looked at her feeble appearance. Those who don't know would think that I tortured you for a long time. In fact, it didn't even take 3 seconds. Not bad compared to the last time. This time it was a qualitative improvement. From 0.5 seconds to 3 seconds, it was a net increase of 6 times. It would take years for the GDP to catch up to this speed. But what was the use of 3 seconds? I was lying on the bed and didn't dare to move, so I let her sit on the bed by herself. But why did the pile driver completely lose control when the two of them really came into contact? This terrifying vibration, which came with its own power and didn't need to be recharged, almost shook the bed. Stop talking, let me take a breather. Oh my god, I'm cramping. My stomach is cramping. Zhou Xian really didn't have any strength left. Qin Guang slapped her buttocks. Why are you so weak? Zhou Xian panted heavily for a few minutes. Can you blame me for this? Where's your little electric motor? No, it's like a high-pressure submachine gun. I'm not coming anymore. Anyway, I'm not coming anymore. Oh my god, it's so torturous. She looked down and saw that he was still glaring at her angrily as if he wanted to eat her up. Zhou Xian shrank to the side of the bed. Don't come anymore, really don't come anymore, or else I'll have to be hospitalized again. Ouch. She fell off the bed in shock with a thud. Qin Guang was dumbfounded. They were having a good time together, so how did they end up like this? Why is my life so bitter? He couldn't help but ask the heavens and the earth. Why don't you try tying a rope around my waist to the bed? After pulling the naked teacher Zhuo onto the bed, Qin Guang didn't give up and asked again. Zhou Xian shook her head like a rattle drum and quickly pulled the quilt over to cover her body. Don't joke around. This is too much. I might really have to wait for a month. My stomach feels like it's been stirred by a *tea stick. Oh no, it's like it's been stirred by something. It's sour. Then what do you think I should do in this situation? Qin Guang straightened his back. What should I do? I'm lying on the bed now. You can poke a hole in the bed. So you were the one who poked the hole last time. Zhou Jingxi was shocked. I thought there was a mouse in the house. Qin Guang's face was bitter. Although I don't really want to admit it, I was the one who poked the hole. Zhou Jingxi took a few deep breaths and wanted to slip away from the bed again. After a long while, she felt embarrassed by Qin Guang's green eyes. She put on a long face and said, "You really can't blame me for this, right? You're really too amazing. Give me some more time. I think I'll have to practice more. I can't take it, I really can't." Qin Guang sighed and lay on his back next to her. The cold wind blew in from outside and blew on a certain damp thing that was standing upright. It was cool, but his heart was burning. How about I use my hands? 2 hours later, Zhou Jingxi started acting shamelessly. I don't care. You think of a way yourself. Don't torture me. I still have an interview tomorrow morning. I'm going to sleep first. I'm no longer a bachelor. I have a woman. How blissful is this? But the strongest spear and the strongest shield are all me. My woman is just a cover. Nice to look at but useless. Oh, it should be because I'm too strong. I regret it so much. I used to watch Japanese movies that envied the power of others for half an hour. Only now do I realize that I'm too strong in this aspect. It's not a blessing at all. I raised my hands and silently looked at the strongest pair of arms in history, as well as the strongest pile driver in history below my waist. After all this time, I'm still a magician who has to rely on his own strength. Please allow me to make a sad expression. No one can understand the sorrow in my heart. 4 days later, Zhou Jingxi flew away. Qin Guang was lying at home alone. As the owner of the Heavenly Holy Grail and an internet celebrity, he actually got bored. So empty, so lonely, so down and out. On this summer vacation, when the young and the yellow were not coming in, he actually lost his life goal. What should I do? Play games? I was on the verge of vomiting blood a few days ago. I'd better save it. Liuli's company still hadn't made any moves. It wasn't strange. After all, how could the handover of a company worth more than 100 million be settled so quickly? Or maybe I should record a dart-throwing video and post it online to gain more popularity. This seemed to be a good idea. However, I've already posted 2 dart-throwing videos before, and the statue of God hasn't made any moves yet. This meant that the power of promoting it on Weibo alone was probably not enough to gain enough recognition. So it's better not to do this. What? Someone said that it's a statue of God with Qilin arms and a pile driver? What's that? Did I learn it before? I don't remember at all. I suffer from a type of selective amnesia. I can't remember what those 2 annoying things are at all. I took out my phone out of boredom. According to international practice, I first checked WeChat. Last time I felt that Jiang Yage was shifty-eyed during the video call. I clicked on it and saw that she had indeed sent dozens of messages. You tricked me. That's right. Jiang Yage posted photos again. The scale was slightly larger than the last time. A few of them seemed to have been taken when she woke up in the morning. Behind the floor-to-ceiling window was a round red sun. Jiang Yage was standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window wearing only a pair of light white shorts. Her upper body was bare. The camera seemed to have been set up somewhere for a time-lapse. It captured every detail of her dainty body. However, she still used the nebula on her face. But Qin Guang could tell at a glance that it was her. Then she took the camera in her hand and took 2 pictures from the neck down. In the photo there was a beautiful M line and more. Buddha said, I can't say it, I can't say it. That figure, that skin, it was simply too explosive. Qin Guang scolded Jiang Yage for tricking him as he flipped through the photos happily. People's hearts aren't what they used to be, and public morals are getting worse day by day. Young people nowadays are really too indiscreet. After looking through them, he replied, Okay. Please keep up the good work. Unexpectedly, Jiang Yage replied immediately, Okay. Damn. She's really there? I'm just joking. Qin Guang quickly wanted to type another message, but it was too late. Jiang Yage had already sent another photo. She seemed to be lying on the bed with one hand fiddling with her pants. She pulled her pants down a little and then the camera took a photo from above. At the bottom of her flat abdomen, a small tuft of black hair could be vaguely seen. Qin Guang hurriedly said, That's enough. That's enough. Jiang Yage replied with a voice message. There's no more. Sister Shuiwei's coming over. We have to go to a promotional event. Oh right, tomorrow is the premiere of Tears for Rivers and Mountains. It should be showing at the same time in the 5 capitals. Remember to watch it. With that, Jiang Yage went silent. Tears for Rivers and Mountains? Chen Guang thought for a while and recalled. Wasn't this the movie in which he had a small role? After waiting for a long time, it was finally going to be released. As one of the main cast members, how could he not watch the premiere? That's right, he shamelessly regarded himself as the main cast member. Of course I'm important. Without me, the 2 female leads would have died and this movie would be gone, okay? Who could be more important than me? He opened the class's QQ group to take a look. The group's current topics were focused on 2 points. One was the movie's release and the other was, of course, the legend of the generation's popular online master. Chapter 459. Inexplicably, Qin Guang, who everyone saw every day, had become the boyfriend of the national idol. This was like an earthquake to the entire class. Fortunately, the 3 guys in the dorm explained that things weren't what they seemed to be. The 2 were only boyfriend and girlfriend in name and there was nothing going on between them. That was why the class didn't make a fuss. Instead, they were secretly happy that they had found out a big secret. These people looked at the noisy and boisterous outside and the shocked appearance of the whole country. They even felt a sense of pleasure as if they were the only sober person in the world. But recently, Qin Guang had made a big fuss on the internet and he had been interacting with Jin Shuiwei a little too much. This gave everyone an idea. What was fake could be real and what was real could be fake. Could these 2 really have that kind of relationship? Do you guys think Goddess Jean really fell in love with our brother Guang just because he turned into underwear Superman and saved her? A guy in the class said from the bottom of his heart. Gaoya nodded. Of course. Then this guy who wanted to see the world in chaos even tagged Sun Xiaoxuan. However, Sun Xiaoxuan was jet-lagged and it was early in the morning. All of a sudden, Qin Guang spoke up. Would you guys believe me if I said that it's fake? Just look at you. I'd believe you even if you were a small-time celebrity. To be honest, brother Guang. I've learned a new phrase recently. It's called, the difference between clouds and mud. Spitting on the ground, Qin Guang responded, then what are you guys chewing on? Lin Jingwei popped up. Gaoya. I'll wait for you at Wangfujing tomorrow at 2 p.m. It's the premiere of Jiang Shan, and it's in the middle of the 4th row. Gaoya laughed. Wow, good job, Lin. I also got a ticket for the premiere. It's crazy here in Denghai. Luckily, I booked the tickets half a month in advance. Another guy popped up. Guys, give me your blessings. I've got a date with the prettiest girl in my high school. It's either succeed or die trying. Seeing that the class was so lively, Qin Guang said faintly, I support domestic movies, I support Tears for Rivers and Mountains, and I support the rising actor Qin Guang. That's right, I'm the handsome and domineering deputy general who will appear in the film for about an hour. I'm your most handsome brother Guang. F***CK. Damn you. We agreed to go to the set together. But you secretly became a deputy general. Xiong'e, who had been lurking, popped his head up. Bai Nyangzi added, beast. Bastard. Gaoya. At Shaoxin, don't ever go back to China. This guy is too unreliable. Lin Jingwei. My dear wife is right. Qin Guang said, you're such a shameless couple. Perhaps because Gaoya kept tagging Sun Xiaoxuan, she finally popped up. Don't say that. Qin Guang is only going to be a cameo. How can a cameo lead a tour? You guys are too much. Only the opposite sex. Gaoya complained again. Actually, she and Lin Jingwei were in no position to say that. I'm not going to talk to you guys anymore. I'm sleepy. I'm going back to sleep, Sun Xiaoxuan replied and went silent. Qin Guang quietly closed QQ, a touch of sadness in his heart. Tears for Rivers and Mountains had been building momentum for a while. It was known as this year's big production of a domestic martial arts film, and the cast was luxurious enough. Whether it was the director Big Beard Deng, the male and female leads, or even the Hollywood post-production team, they were all well known in the industry. Ordinary people had no hope of getting tickets to the premiere one day in advance. But this wasn't a problem for Qin Guang, because Xiaochong's family was the boss of Qianda Pictures. Not to mention the premiere, even if he wanted a dozen VIP tickets, as long as there were still some left, he would be able to watch it. The tickets weren't a problem, but the problem was the person accompanying him to watch the movie. Teacher Zhua and Sun Xiaoxuan were abroad, his sister Fan Lingshan was living in school, Wu Tong was in Yanjing, Wenwen was nowhere to be found, Lu Fei was in Denghai for a meeting, and Jin Shuiwei and Jiang Yage could forget about it. Why am I so unlucky? I want to find someone to watch a movie with me, but I don't even have a suitable companion. I really want you to watch a movie and then suddenly see my handsome face on the big screen. Then look at me with a pale face. Oh, it's you, Qin Guang. Think about that scene, how pleasantly surprised, how much I look forward to it. But I don't have a suitable companion. I can't possibly go to a dangerous place like the movie theater alone. I don't want to be killed by those scumbags in the movie theater. So what should I do? This feeling was like casting pearls before swine. I want to act cool, but it's like I'm a playboy who has mistakenly entered a monk's temple, with nowhere to start and nowhere to act cool. At this moment his phone suddenly rang. He picked it up and saw that it was Tang Ying. Why is she calling me? Accompany me to watch a movie tomorrow, do you have time? Tang Ying's first sentence made Qin Guang overjoyed. Do we have a telepathic connection? I'm having a hard time because I don't have anyone to accompany me, and you actually took the initiative to call me. Of course. Do you need me to get the tickets? Qin Guang asked. Unexpectedly, Tang Ying thought for a moment and said, No need, I've already bought the tickets. Wait at the entrance of the hospital at 12:30. Have lunch first, then go to the movie theater. After hanging up, Qin Guang began to wonder how busy a doctor was. Needless to say, Tang Ying was obviously not the kind of person who had nothing better to do. So, although Qin Guang had thought of many people, Tang Ying was the only one he hadn't considered. Is there a deeper meaning to her asking me to watch a movie? Forget it, I won't think about it if I can't figure it out. On the other end, Tang Ying was on the phone with Wu Tong. Alright, I don't know what you're worried about. Is there really something going on between Jin Shuiwei and him? I'm just feeling uneasy. He already explained it to you, yet you're still uneasy? Aren't you thinking too highly of him? What's this called? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Just because you think he's good, you think others will fall in love with him. Isn't that nonsense? Alright, my good sister. Anyway, you just have to test him a little. Don't let him find out that I asked you to look for him. Wu Tong hurriedly said a few words. Alright, I only have a minute to talk to him. I'll be leaving first. I'll leave it to you. Tang Ying looked at her phone, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. She muttered to herself, I don't even know what you're worried about. She looked down at her watch, got up and walked to the door of the office, only to see a man in a white suit standing at the door with his brows slightly furrowed. The man did not seem to notice the displeasure in her expression at all. He handed her a bouquet of flowers. I just saw a little girl selling flowers at the entrance of the hospital. He seemed to be working hard. She just bought a bouquet of lilies. I think this flower language suits you quite well. Shall I put it on your desk? As he said that, he walked straight in, looking like he was very familiar with Tang Ying. Tang Ying stopped him with her hand. Mr. Song, I've told you many times. This is my workplace. If you have anything to say, please talk to me when I'm off work. Don't disturb my work. Mr. Song looked a little awkward. Isn't it just a coincidence? Don't do it again. Don't do it again. I don't want the flowers. Mr. Song, since you're here, please make it short. A busy person like you wouldn't come to me for no reason. Tang Ying put on a straight face and put her hands in the pockets of her white coat. This Song Ningyun had come to see her more than once in the past few days. Tang Ying was really annoyed and her attitude was not very good. Song Ningyun did not mind. He just put the flowers behind his back and took out 2 movie tickets from his pocket. Miss Tang, do you have time to go to the movies with me? It's the premiere of Tears Will Run for Rivers tomorrow afternoon. It's not easy to get these tickets. Tang Ying turned to leave. Sorry, we doctors are too busy. I really don't have the heart to go to the movies. After saying that, she rushed into the inpatient ward. Obviously, she did not want to waste any more time with Song Ningyuan. The 2 nurses in the doctor's office who had listened to Tang Ying's phone calls from beginning to end couldn't help but cover their mouths and laugh when they saw this scene. Song Ningyuan's whole body froze. He really did not know whether to leave or stay. He glared at the 2 nurses fiercely. What are you laughing at? Is this funny? Song Ningyun stuffed the whole bouquet of lilies into the trash can and walked away with a livid face. He was also puzzled. What on earth was Tang Ying thinking? They were considered to be well matched in terms of social status. He was not young anymore. She couldn't possibly stay single until she was 30. Why did she have to be so cold and distant? What the hell? Why did I fall for such a difficult woman? After Song Ningyun walked far away, the nurse who had shouted at him rolled her eyes and said disdainfully, With that bad temper of his, how could he pursue Dr. Tang? I won't be able to do it even if you beat me to death. That's right. Isn't he just rich? He dresses like a dog but he doesn't even know how to speak. He says one thing in front of people and another thing behind their backs. Let's go back and tell Dr. Tang about how he behaved just now. The next morning Qin Guang did not give up. He uploaded a darts video to Weibo and drove to the city at around 11 o'clock. He whistled and listened to music. The past few days had been tiring enough. It was rare for him to have a chance to relax and live a simple life. It was not bad. Qin Guang began to look forward to it in his heart. Isn't that you? Yes, that's right. What do you think of my acting skills? Don't I look like an Oscar winner? Amazing, amazing. You've really hidden your skills well. Qin Guang fantasized about it in his mind. Tang Ying slammed her chopsticks down. You've been sitting there laughing like an idiot for almost 5 minutes. The waiter is about to call 120. Come back to your senses. The food is going to get cold if you don't eat now. Qin Guang hurriedly ate his rice. He thought to himself, don't get too full of yourself. You'll be shocked later. I say, why are you wearing sunglasses all day? Pretending to be blind so that you can set the table whenever you want? Tang Ying complained again. Qin Guang mumbled, you don't understand. I'm a celebrity now. I don't dare to let people recognize me. Save it. I'm willing to bet 10 yuan that if you take off your sunglasses and shout, I'm Qin Guang, no one will recognize you. Do you really think that everyone in the country has nothing better to do than to browse Weibo all day? Even if you're a superstar, you might not be recognized in the countryside. Qin Guang threw his chopsticks aside. Can't you at least let me have a taste of being a celebrity? All right. Let's eat. Hurry up and eat. The two arrived at the cinema on time. Tang Ying looked at Song Ningyan, who was dressed in a white suit, and cursed in her heart. Am I committing a sin or what? Why am I so unlucky? There are dozens of cinemas in the 5 capitals. How did I and Song Ningyun get to attend the same premiere? I'll be damned if I believe you. Chapter 460. Song Ningyun first looked at Tang Ying, who looked a little embarrassed, and then looked at Qin Guang, who was standing next to her with sunglasses on. His brows knitted into a dead knot. Although he couldn't see Qin Guang's face through the sunglasses, Song Ningyun kept his guard up against this 8-meter-tall young man. He was most likely a rival in love. Taking a few deep breaths to calm himself down, Song Ningyun forced a smile on his face. Miss Tang, didn't you say you didn't have time to watch a movie? Tang Ying also felt a headache coming on. She thought to herself, why is this person so insensible? I was giving you a way out but you still took advantage of me? How could I have known that I would bump into you again? Do you really want me to fall out with you? Tang Ying took a step back and pulled on Qin Guang's sleeve. She forced a smile and said, I didn't plan to come before but I changed my mind. As she spoke, she secretly pinched Qin Guang's arm. Qin Guang was in pain from Tang Ying's pinch. Looking at her, winking at him, and then looking at Song Ningyuan's angry but calm attitude, he understood. Alright, my sideline has arrived again. I'm a professional fly swatter and I'm very accurate. Should I open a shield agency in the future and take on the business of swatting flies from all kinds of beauties? Don't let the fee be too low. Every time I swatted a fly, I'll definitely make enemies. With such a big loss, I should at least charge 170,000 to 180,000, right? Although he was complaining in his heart, he didn't slow down at all. He took a step forward, put his arm around Tang Ying's shoulder, and stood between Tang Ying and Song Ningyun. The corners of his mouth curled up and he said somewhat mischievously, Mister, some words don't need to be so obvious, right? It's not that little Ying doesn't have time to watch a movie, but she doesn't have time to watch it with you. She'll be free if she's with me. Who are you? A strange flush appeared on Song Ningyuan's face. It was obvious that he was a little angry. There are over 1 billion people in China and there are plenty of people that you don't know. I don't have the mood to know you, so you don't have to bother about who I am. Qin Guang grinned as he hugged Tang Ying from the back. Song Ningyuan reached out to grab Qin Guang's shoulder. However, it was as if Qin Guang had eyes in the back of his head. He raised his hand and slapped him on the arm, causing him to shrink back in pain. By the time Song came back to his senses, Qin Guang and Tang Ying had already disappeared into the crowd. Song Ningyun was so angry that he stomped his feet. At this moment, a fashionably dressed and beautiful woman jogged over from afar. Brother Nian, I'm sorry. It took me a little longer to dress up. I'm sorry for making you wait. Get lost. Song Ningyuan's heart was filled with anger, but he couldn't find a target to vent it on. This woman could be considered to have bumped into the muzzle of his gun. Huh. The woman's face was full of grievance and confusion. Song Ningyuan pointed into the distance. I told you to get lost. Didn't you hear me? He already hated this woman. If he hadn't waited for her outside for a while, he wouldn't have bumped into Tang Ying and that man. The woman ran away with her tail between her legs. She couldn't afford to offend Song Ningyuan, so she could only admit that she was unlucky. Song Ningyuan gritted his teeth. You bastard with sunglasses, don't let me find out who you are. He wanted to turn around and leave, but he was unwilling to do so. He rolled his eyes and walked back into the cinema. Inside, Qin Guang and Tang Ying had already found their VIP seats. Say, big sister Tang Ying, you didn't call me here to be your shield, right? Qin Guang said in a half-joking, half-serious tone. Tang Ying rolled her eyes at him. What kind of sin have I committed? I'm obviously helping Wu Tong interrogate you, but you're the one who's blocking the flies for me. Even if I'm looking for a shield, I should at least look for a mature and successful person, okay? Qin Guang didn't agree. You're taking advantage of me, but you're pretending to be innocent. If you really don't like me, why don't you expose me just now? Tang Ying stuffed a box of popcorn into his hands. Take it as my thanks, okay? The movie is about to start. Why don't you take off your sunglasses? No. The lights are still on. I'll take them off when the movie starts. Qin Guang shook his head quickly. Tang Ying glared at him, grabbed a handful of popcorn from his lap and stuffed it into her mouth. Aren't you tired? You and Jin Shuiwei aren't really in that kind of relationship. Why don't you just go and deny it? You didn't take advantage of her, but you got yourself into trouble. Isn't that a loss? Qin Guang sighed. I'm a little tired, but I can't help it. Didn't I tell you before? When others saw me in trouble, they helped me out. You can't just tear me down now that I'm fine, right? Think about it. She's a big shot. She can just shout to the public that she's in love. Then the whole country was shocked. Oh my God, you're still so young. Goddess, don't abandon us. Then the goddess said, No. This is my true love. Please give me your blessings. Then the countless fans of others finally accepted this cruel reality. When their hearts turned around, you suddenly jumped out and said, I've broken up with you. Please continue to give me your blessings. Tell me, as this celebrity's fan, or even if you're just a passerby, what do you think? Qin Guang asked. Tang Ying pondered for a moment. I definitely think that this celebrity is an idiot. Hey, why are you scolding me? Isn't that what you asked me? That's what I think in my heart. Other celebrities hide their marriage certificates even if they're already married. They have nothing better to do than to fall in love and break up as fast as they can. Are they playing house? Since it's true love, how can it be so easy to break up? Qin Guang shrugged. Isn't that enough? So I'll just endure it for now. I reckon that I'll become a celebrity soon. Tang Ying stomped on his foot angrily. Do you really think that celebrities are freeloaders? Others spend 10 years of hard work for a minute on stage. What kind of talent do you have? And you call yourself a celebrity? You can't possibly go into the entertainment industry as a celebrity's boyfriend, can you? You have to have your own goods first, right? Are you looking down on me? Don't I know how to play the piano? Qin Guang argued. Tang Ying chuckled. To be honest, I've seen that video of yours. The music you play isn't that nice. It sounds like ghosts wailing and wolves howling. What do you know? It's called the world's 10 most difficult songs. It doesn't matter if it's nice or not. The important thing is that it's hard to play. If you don't understand, then you don't know what's good about it. I don't care. Anyway, as an ordinary listener, I only have one standard for judging music. Nice or not nice. I can't be a fan of a pianist like you. You'd better focus on your studies and stop thinking about all that nonsense. Qin Guang curled his lips. He couldn't be bothered to argue with her anymore. It's better if you look down on me now. When Brother Air's acting comes out in the film, won't you be scared to death? What a coincidence, Miss Tang. You're sitting here too? As the two of them were chatting, a white silhouette walked over from the side and sat down beside Tang Ying, smiling at her. Qin Guang and Tang Ying's jaws dropped. This guy was a little too thick-skinned. This is the VIP area on the second floor. There are at least 200 to 300 seats, but you're sitting right next to Tang Ying. Isn't it too much of a coincidence? If I remember correctly, there were two people who sat here for a short while before they were called away. Now it's you instead. Song Mingyuan sat down. He finally understood. Although Tang Ying and this guy seemed to be close, as long as they weren't married, he still had a chance. He couldn't give up so easily. Song Mingyuan, can't even compete with a pretty boy? I'm going to sit here shamelessly today. What can you do to me? Just as he was secretly proud of his courage, Tang Ying suddenly stood up and said to Chen Guang, "Let's switch seats." Can you not be like this? Song Mingyuan watched helplessly as Chen Guang and Tang Ying switched seats. The situation was really awkward. Tang Ying was really not giving him any face at all. Hearing those words, Chen Guang nearly burst out laughing. This brother of his was truly pitiful. Say, you couldn't have bought those seats, right? Do you want to switch seats over there? Song Mingyuan's face darkened. Don't hit me in the face. You're a little lacking in manners, aren't you? Young Master Song did not expect that if Chen Guang and Tang Ying were really in a relationship, he would have gone overboard by trying to poach Chen Guang in front of everyone. Tang Ying tugged at him. That's enough. Don't talk too much. Although Tang Ying was not afraid of Song Mingyuan, she did not want Chen Guang to put in too much effort. She would feel bad if she made an enemy out of nothing. Chen Guang, on the other hand, curled his lips indifferently. There was no need to worry about it. After a few seconds, the lights in the hall finally dimmed. The movie was about to start. Only then did Chen Guang take off his sunglasses. Song Mingyuan stole a glance at Chen Guang's side profile, trying to memorize his face. However, the lights in the theater were too dim and he couldn't take a good look at Chen Guang's face. Tears for Rivers and Mountains was a good movie. The plot was intertwined and the characters were vivid and deep. The scenes were beautiful and there was no lack of fist-to-flesh fighting. Fu Hua was also very sincere, perfectly recreating the charm of the medieval dynasty. When it came to making movies, Big Beard Deng had a good foundation. In recent years, he could be considered a famous director in the country who had a good combination of business and art. Otherwise, the audience would not have been so receptive to the movie, and the premiere was so popular. Tang Ying also liked to watch movies to pass the time. When she was studying abroad alone, one of the few entertainment activities she had was watching domestic movies and TV series. She was much more familiar with domestic actors and stars than Chen Guang, who was an insider. The performances of the left and right hands were consistent and steady, and there was no lack of eye-catching parts. The two of them were young, but they debuted early. If it weren't for their good looks, which overshadowed their acting skills, the two of them would have been recognized as veteran actors long ago. Tang Ying was also in high spirits. The seats in the VIP area were not that crowded and a little talk would not disturb others. She also made a habit of commenting on the movie in a low voice. Jin Shiyue and Jiang Yage's acting skills are really good. Look at their micro-expressions. Hidden under the angry surface is a hint of joy. They're so good at acting. Big Beard Deng really knows how to choose the actors. Even a small supporting role is so good. Zhou Ye's acting skills are quite good. He plays the strategist well. Wise, calm and treacherous. Chapter 461. His ears were ringing and Chen Guang felt a little uncomfortable. Big sis, I see that you're quite a decent person. Usually you're very knowledgeable and polite. Why are you so talkative when you're watching a movie? Can't you let me enjoy the movie? A true gentleman does not speak when watching a movie. Manners. Manners. Suddenly, Song Mingyuan, who was sitting next to Chen Guang, leaned over and said to Tang Ying through Chen Guang, I'm quite familiar with Zhou Ye. Look, he sent me a text a few days ago, asking me to treat him to a drink some other day. Miss Tang, if you're interested I can. Tang Ying sat up straight and stared at the big screen. Don't make a ruckus when you're watching a movie. You're disturbing the others. Zhou Ye's acting skills aren't that great either. He keeps repeating the same thing over and over again. There's no breakthrough at all. Chen Guang and Song Mingyuan were dumbfounded. Your change in attitude is too drastic. Song Mingyuan felt like vomiting blood. You were having a heated discussion with someone else, and now you're denying everything with just one word. Chen Guang secretly gave Song Mingyuan a thumbs up. Bro, you did a good job. If you hadn't done that, who knows how long I'd have to endure her torture. He began to count the time in his heart, watching as the battle scene that he was about to appear in drew closer and closer. Finally, as the long horn sounded, the scene of the two armies facing off suddenly popped up on the screen. The camera zoomed in, and the image of Qin Guang's golden-armored deputy general appeared on the screen. Tang Ying didn't recognize him at first, but as the scene zoomed in, the suspicion in her heart grew. Finally, she couldn't help but let out a soft cry of surprise and turned to look at Qin Guang in surprise. Qin Guang's expression didn't change and his heart didn't skip a beat. He only looked at the big screen as if he didn't care about what was going on outside, but his heart was already blooming with joy. Hurry up and worship me. I don't believe that you can't recognize me. Who told you that I have no talent? Did you see that? This is my acting skills. Originally, his role was only supposed to last about 30 seconds, but perhaps because his performance on the set was too perfect, Big Beard Deng, after careful consideration, felt that his performance could even improve the depth and expression of the entire film. So he simply gave his face a close-up for 3 seconds, revealing the complex emotions of the deputy general, who was angry, belligerent, arrogant, and bloodthirsty. Although Qin Guang had put on makeup in the movie, his facial features hadn't changed at all. Tang Ying finally confirmed that her eyes were not playing tricks on her. She covered her mouth and exclaimed. Qin Guang turned around, his face as calm as a mountain. He lowered his voice and asked in a magnetic voice, "What? Is there a problem? Ask me why you're in the movie. Quick, ask me. Don't tell me you and this actor are long-lost twin brothers?" Tang Ying frowned and asked in a skeptical tone. "That's me, okay? It's really you." "Nonsense. Let me tell you, those people on the set were just like you. They all thought that someone like me who has never learned to act wouldn't be able to act. But look at the result. Didn't I do a good job? I didn't lie to you just now, did I? I'm really going to work in the showbiz industry soon." Tang Ying's mouth was wide open. She looked at Qin Guang for a long time, but she still couldn't believe it was true. She could be considered half a movie fan, and she knew how difficult it was to get a 30-second scene in a big production like this. Not to mention that the director was Big Beard Deng, who was known for his strictness. If she wanted to get 3 seconds of a close-up from him, she would have to rely on her own strength. Otherwise, a failed performance would ruin the look and feel of the entire movie. Besides that, she couldn't deny it. Even though she knew that this assistant was played by someone she knew, it didn't seem out of character at all. It could only mean that Qin Guang's acting skills were really good. Also, let me tell you, I can't say for sure how good Zhou Ya's acting skills are, but he's just like you, one of the people who looked down on me on the set. But in the end, he made a bet with me and gave me 80,000 yuan for free. He's a godsend, a living Lei Feng. Of course, who would have thought that a university student studying environmental design would be able to walk over and get into character? Song Mingyuan, who had been eavesdropping on the conversation between the two, was also baffled. He couldn't hold back his curiosity and turned to look at Qin Guang. This time he finally found the identity of the person he was looking for. Song Mingyuan's face turned red. He was just bragging about how he knew Zhou Ya, but this guy was even worse. He snuck into the movie, won money from Zhou Ya, and left. Tang Ying liked to watch movies. This was news that Song Mingyuan had found out early on. At that moment he couldn't help but think, could this kid really be a new celebrity? Tang Ying likes movies? The information was wrong. Wait, that person on the screen looks a little familiar. At that moment, some people in the front also noticed that there was something wrong with Qin Guang's character. Isn't that Jin Shiyue's boyfriend Qin Guang, who caused a commotion recently? Why is he in this movie too? What's so strange about that? Didn't he save Jin Shiyue and Jiang Yage when they were filming this movie? He fell into our 5 capitals painting lake. Director Deng probably saw that his image was okay and wanted to thank him, so he pulled him in to play a small role. You don't say. His acting is pretty decent. Don't talk nonsense, you two. I'm a teacher from Dechuan Film and Television Academy's Performing Arts Department, and I teach this. Qin Guang's acting skills are really not something that can be described with just the word decent. Let me give you an example. Jin Shiyue and Jiang Yage's acting skills are really good, but if you look closely you'll notice that their acting skills are more of a performance type. It's all because of their excellent innate qualities that they can accurately express the effect that the director wants them to achieve. But there's a downside to this. A middle-aged man beside them couldn't help but interject. When they heard that there was actually a teacher from the Performing Arts Department here, the other 2 people's appetites were whetted. What downside? Right now, although Jin Shuiwei and Jiang Yage are famous and have acted in many blockbuster movies, people generally still treat them as idols. Just like you young people often say they're goddesses, national idols and so on. There's a reason for this situation. Their acting skills are almost at the peak of performance, but it's precisely because they've walked too deep on this path, or maybe because they're too young and lack of life experience, that they can't perform another kind of performance that's more of an experiential effect. They can't put themselves into the role from the inside out, and they can't act like methods, when it's necessary to express the character's mood and emotions with the same or similar experience. In the end, they're still a little lacking. If they can't push their acting skills to the level of a method, they won't be able to bring out a truly heavyweight performance. It'll be very difficult for them to gain deeper recognition in the industry, and they won't be able to win more heavyweight awards on the international stage. But look at Qin Guang. Although this is the first time I've seen him on screen, even if it's only a short 3 seconds of footage, I can confirm that this young man is either a genius in acting, or he's already quite accomplished. This is a very perfect method performance. This assistant really acted like a god. Director Deng is also very good. His judgment is very accurate. He didn't give him a long close-up. Otherwise, in the same shot he would have been out of place as the assistant. This so-called out of place means that he's a supporting character. He doesn't occupy the focus of the camera, but he can still steal the show. He stunned the main character Zhou Xian in this shot. This young man is amazing. Given time, he'll definitely become a great person. Zhou Xian was also a little disappointing. As a veteran actor, he almost had his scene stolen by an extra in the same shot. He even had to let director Deng control the angle and duration of the extra's appearance. I'm afraid director Deng must have felt very regretful during the post-production editing. This scene should have been more intense. Perhaps because he was a little excited, the teacher's voice was a little louder. Qin Guang and the other two who were sitting behind him heard everything clearly. Qin Guang's face turned red. To be honest, I'm really a little embarrassed to be praised like this in front of my face. If you hadn't mentioned it, I wouldn't have known that I was so good. But to be honest, this really wasn't because I'd understood the essence of the method. At that time, I wasn't even myself anymore, alright? That's not right. Strictly speaking, I can also be considered a method. First, I got Liuli to heavily hypnotize me, giving me the illusion that I'd become a super best actor. Then I went to act. A hypnotized best actor, then put myself in the shoes of the character? Double hypnosis? Stealing dreams space. I'm almost the most dedicated extra in history, right? Teacher's right, it's amazing. Alright, no matter what he thought, he couldn't let go of his ability to brag. You're really thick-skinned. Tang Ying pinched Qin Guang's thigh. Qin Guang chuckled. It's not that I'm thick-skinned, but what teacher said is true. Tang Ying didn't continue to pay attention to him. While everyone was commenting, another part of the movie passed. Song Mingyuan's face darkened. This time he really knew who the man in sunglasses was. You're actually Qin Guang. Don't you already have a celebrity girlfriend? Why are you trying to steal Tang Ying from me? Aren't you afraid that someone will expose you and turn the world upside down? If it weren't for his identity, Song Mingyuan would have jumped up from his chair and pointed at Qin Guang, shouting at him to expose his identity so that he wouldn't be able to do anything. Finally, the movie ended. On this side, Qin Guang and Tang Ying ignored him and walked out quickly. Song Mingyuan was hot-headed and followed them again. When they were outside the cinema, he couldn't hold it in any longer. Tang Ying. Wait a minute. Tang Ying turned around and didn't wait for Qin Guang to hug her. Instead, she took the initiative to hold Qin Guang's hand. Mr. Song, you're also a person of status and identity. You don't have to do this, right? There are plenty of fish in the sea. Why do you have to do this? Her emotions were a little out of control, so she held onto Qin Guang's hand with too much force. She didn't realize that Qin Guang's arm was completely sandwiched between her ample breasts. Chapter 462. Song Mingyuan stared at the scene, his eyes red with jealousy. He pointed at Qin Guang and said, "His name is Qin Guang, right? You know who he is, right? Do you want me to expose him in front of everyone? Don't think that you can do anything sneaky just because you're wearing sunglasses. He's just a guy who relies on a woman to get to where he is." Oh, this guy is trying to pick a fight. Qin Guang clenched his fists, his knuckles cracking, and he was about to make a move. I told you I don't like to talk nonsense. If I can make a move, I won't. No matter how much he spits, it can't compare to a punch in the face. Tang Ying panicked. She couldn't let Qin Guang make a move, so she hugged his arm tightly. Of course I know who he is. But what does it have to do with you? What's wrong with me liking young and handsome little brothers? You Song Mingyuan are the chairman of a public company, Tiansong Water. Do you have to be so despicable? It's my freedom to be with whoever I like, okay? If you insist on pestering me, don't blame me for being rude. After that, Tang Ying didn't wait for Qin Guang to explode and ignored Song Mingyuan. Tang Ying dragged Qin Guang away. Seeing the adulterous couple quickly walking away, Song Mingyuan was so angry that his head was about to explode. He kicked the trash can next to him. With a thud, he hugged his toes and screamed. Adulterous couple. This isn't over. Why did you drag me? Qin Guang was dissatisfied with Tang Ying's change of topic. Tang Ying rolled her eyes at him. You only know how to touch me. Didn't I just say that you're a student of environmental protection, but you don't know about Tiansong Water? Qin Guang shook his head. I'm only in my 3rd year. Why would I need to know about the water? Is it that great? You really have a big heart. Go back and ask around yourself. Otherwise, you'll understand if you look it up on the internet. Tiansong Water Company, established in 2001, is a large-scale water company that integrates water supply, drainage and plant network. It is the leading enterprise in urban water supply and drainage projects and water operation projects in Dachuan Province, with a net asset of more than 20 billion. On this side, Qin Guang had already looked it up and read it word by word. Now do you know how powerful I am? Tang Ying glared at him fiercely. You looked so fierce just now. I think you're thinking of changing professions after you graduate, right? The water treatment industry in Great Chuan Province, whether it's the investment and operation of water supply or sewage treatment, although Tiansong Water Company doesn't have an absolute monopoly, it's definitely a hurdle that can't be crossed. Qin Guang looked at her angrily. You still have the cheek to talk about me? Didn't you drag me into this? No matter how big the hatred in this world is, it can't be bigger than snatching a woman. Tang Ying was happily scolding him, but her expression stiffened when she heard that. She looked at Qin Guang apologetically. That seems to be the case. I'm sorry. Fine, I was just saying it casually. I don't really care that much. Besides, I'm considered an internet celebrity now and I don't lack money. Tiansong Water Company is in charge of everything, so how can they care about what I eat and drink? Sister Tang Ying, if you're in trouble, don't even mention offending Song Mingyuan. If you want me to climb a mountain of swords and dive into a sea of flames, I won't hesitate. Qin Guang patted his chest loudly. Tang Ying covered her mouth and laughed. I didn't think that Lady Tong had such good taste before, but today I realized that she really has a unique insight. She dug out this treasure from the crowd and made it her little brother. After having dinner with Tang Ying, Qin Guang drove back to his neighborhood. It was already dark when he reached home. When he opened the door, he suddenly felt empty. In the past, he didn't realize how boring it was to stay at home alone, and he always complained that others were troublesome. But when he was really lonely and cold, he knew how happy it was to have someone by his side. Even if his 3rd grandson from his dormitory was by his side. He turned on his newly installed computer and surfed the internet. He was delighted. The premiere of Tears for Rivers and Mountains Will Last was quite good. Although there were still praise and criticism, it was still rated as this year's domestic film with a conscience. The comments on the internet were not overwhelming, but the popularity of the film was not low in the past 2 days. Today it had reached its peak. Film critics were commenting on the theme and depth of the film, and they were even giving pointers on the performances of the actors in the film. Jin Shiyue and Jiang Ye's performances were as stable as ever. Both their beauty and acting skills were worthy of their status as outstanding young actors. A few of the older men also had a breakthrough in their performances, especially the second male lead who played the villain. He had completely broken away from the shackles of playing the good guy in the past. The ordinary audience watching the film also had their own opinions, and most of them applauded the film. Only one person complained that Zhou Xian was almost like a paralyzed best actor, playing the role of a good military advisor as an Iron Man. However, in the middle of these normal comments, there was a bunch of strange comments. That's right, these people were not talking about the plot, the depth of the film, or the outstanding performance of a certain main character or supporting character. They were all talking about a certain deputy general who only had 33 seconds of screen time in the entire film. That was the character of Qin Guang. This is Goddess Jin's boyfriend, right? I didn't think he was very handsome when I saw the post last time. I didn't expect him to be so photogenic. His body is so good. This guy's acting skills are pretty good. I don't know why, but after watching the entire film, the thing that left the deepest impression in my mind was the close-up of this guy's face. Peace, I'm a man. Didn't the previous post say that he was a university student studying environmental protection? Why do I feel like he's a professional actor? I'm a senior in acting. I've already acted in a few films. I welcome everyone to follow my Weibo. No matter what you think, I think this guy can be a good actor. An environmental warrior who doesn't like to be an actor is not a good boyfriend. Previous poster, 6666. Similar discussions took up almost a third of all the discussions about the movie Country. It was hard to tell if Qin Guang's short performance was too eye-catching, or if the halo of being Jin Shiyue's boyfriend was too strong. In short, things inexplicably turned out to be like this. Perhaps the teacher at the cinema was right. Regardless of how good Qin Guang's acting was at other times, at least in the short scene in the movie, he was a master in acting. It seemed like a coincidence that the others were discussing the movie so enthusiastically, but it was actually because of his perfect performance. This was a very mysterious thing. It was difficult to find the reason behind it, but it was inevitable. If Big Beard Deng had known that things would turn out like this with Qin Guang's small role, he would have thought about it carefully during the post-production. Sure, he couldn't be blamed. After all, when he was doing the post-production, Qin Guang and Jin Shiyue had nothing to do with each other. Man proposes, God disposes. Plans can't keep up with changes. The fake relationship between the two that was exposed became the straw that broke the camel's back. Not only were the major film review websites hyping up this matter, even his almighty Superman Weibo account became a little popular. There was a round of applause below. The audience and fans who wanted to watch the commotion were all clamoring. The almighty brother Almighty was going to enter the entertainment industry next. Of course, there were also some who weren't so pleasant to hear. The general meaning was similar to what Song Ningyuan had said today. At first, Qin Guang would get angry when he saw similar words, but after a long time he was already very resistant to it. He couldn't be bothered to argue with these online trolls anymore. After all, if someone were to criticize you through the screen, there was nothing you could do even if you were angry. If you argued with every single troll, you would be angered to death. At this moment, a voice suddenly appeared on the internet. This person's words were quite thought-provoking, and people couldn't help but pay attention to it. Amidst the applause on the internet, Zhang Tianming, the male lead of Tears for a Country Will Never End, was the first to jump out and criticize Qin Guang. Everyone, please pay more attention to the entire film and not stare at some insignificant person. This is disrespectful to the other main cast members of the film. Some people should stop their hype. What's the point of making a name for themselves? What's there to brag about with a beginner's acting skills? He dragged the entire production crew to play for an entire afternoon and finally got through one scene. How dare he shout it out to the whole world? Zhang Tianming's sudden attack caught everyone off guard. Perhaps he was unhappy that as the male lead, he had been robbed of the limelight by a minor character. Or perhaps he really couldn't stand the sight of Qin Guang and Jin Shiyue flirting with each other. Jealousy burned through his heart. None of that mattered. In short, he was the first to criticize. With Zhang Tianming taking the lead, many people in the production crew of Rivers and Mountains, who were close to him, also began to criticize. I've been filming for so many years, but this is the first time I've seen such a shameless minor character. People nowadays really don't care about anything for the sake of fame. Some people don't have any abilities and only know how to use a woman's fame to swagger through the city. It's better to keep a low profile. Although there were many people who criticized him, upon closer inspection, most of those who were unhappy with Qin Guang were people who weren't present at the scene of the lake painting incident. They didn't feel any gratitude towards Qin Guang, so it was no wonder that they were like this. Qin Guang didn't care much about being criticized by the netizens. However, he was unhappy that the main cast of Rivers and Mountains was bombarding him one after another. I didn't do anything to provoke you. Is there a need to do this? If he didn't say anything and continued to smear his name, he might really become the kind of person they were talking about. If I really made a name for myself, then I'll admit it. However, this has nothing to do with me, okay? You're scolding me so clearly. Although you didn't mention my name, even an idiot would know that you're talking about me, right? It had to be said that under the Weibo posts of Zhang Tianming and the other main cast members who criticized him, there was indeed a portion of people who believed it. After all, from the premiere until now, Qin Guang had become so popular that he himself didn't know why. Others didn't understand and felt that it was understandable that he had hired a water army. I was just saying that this person became popular for no reason this afternoon. I don't think his acting skills are that good. 3 seconds of footage and a topic that's even more popular than the main cast. I'll just chuckle. How many cents did this person throw out? Brother Tianming is right. Boycott this kind of shameless and immoral artist. Chapter 463. With someone taking the lead, the haters who had been fading away recently also popped up and rushed to Qin Guang's Weibo to start flaming him. In the past, Qin Guang had been flamed mainly because he had seduced everyone's goddess. But today there was finally something new. Trash Qin, get out of the entertainment industry. You only know how to create hype. You've only been acting for 3 seconds and you're already like this. If you were a second male lead, wouldn't you be blown out of the universe? Scumbag. Goddess Jean must be blind to have fallen for you. No wonder you always wore a mask. You're too ugly to face people. Now that you've taken off your mask, is it because you've cultivated your skin to be thicker? You must have bribed someone to get into the production team. You've ruined such a good big production. Therefore, there were a lot of idle people on the internet. Celebrities' flame wars were really the best pastime to pass time. On one side was the popular movie star, Zhang Tianming, and on the other side was Jin Shiyue's elusive boyfriend. Of these two, one had just worked with Jin Shiyue in Country and Throne, and the other had been quite popular recently. Now that something had happened, it was interesting. There were more and more people watching the commotion online, and more people followed up from time to time. After all, Zhang Tianming had been famous for a long time. His Weibo fans were no less than Qin Guang's, and his hardcore movie fans were even more than Qin Guang's. Less than half an hour after he started flaming, Qin Guang was really scolded on the internet. The haters said that he relied on women to get to the top, and more people really thought so. After scrolling through these comments, Qin Guang slammed the table. *CK, they're taking advantage of me? I didn't say anything and you guys really think I'm a pushover? He was so angry. When I was acting in this movie, I couldn't even wait to hide from the two of them, okay? Big Beard Deng asked me to be a cameo. What does it have to do with Jin Shiyue and Zhang Yache? He was about to type a Weibo post to scold them back. Don't talk to me about manners, my temper is just that bad. %, and then hashtag. After typing out a bunch of vulgarities, Qin Guang received a new post on Weibo before he could even send it. Someone tagged Qin Guang. He clicked on it and was overjoyed. It was actually a Weibo post from the assistant director Xianxia, who had been tortured to death by him. Although Xianxia was only a small character in Big Beard Deng's crew, he had some popular web dramas over the years, so he still had a certain level of fame. It's not my place to comment on other people's matters, but I believe that I have the right to comment on Qin Guang's acting. When he first came to the film crew, he was a greenhorn who didn't know anything. At the audition, his performance was terrible. Director Deng asked me to teach him step by step, and I almost started to doubt my life. But I have to point. It took him only half a day to bring out his on-screen performance. I think his performance is worthy of this movie. Then Zhou, the guy who always gave away money, actually stood up for Qin Guang. You guys might not know this, but I was annoyed at him at first. I thought he was wasting the crew's time, so I made a bet with him that he wouldn't be able to act. Then I lost 80,000 yuan to him and I was convinced of my loss. Tianming wasn't on set that day, so his opinion might be biased. I hope everyone can be more rational. Apart from these two, there were also some crew members who had watched Qin Guang save people during the lake painting incident. They all stood up to support Qin Guang. With that, the public opinion online was divided into two factions. But Zhang Tianming's faction was still stronger. After all, there was a popular celebrity leading the way. Yang Shi and Zhou Ya's support only made the public opinion slightly less one-sided. At that moment, Zhang Tianming posted on Weibo again. This time he tagged a few people who had just supported Qin Guang. I wasn't there when the incident happened that day, but I know. I'm also very grateful for Qin Guang's bravery. After all, if it weren't for him, this movie would have died prematurely. But a movie is a movie, not a favor. If anyone can act in a movie just by doing favors, then you guys are underestimating your own profession. Acting is an art. I'm not afraid to offend people, but I can't tolerate sand in my eyes when it comes to pursuing art. This time, not only did he aim his gun at Qin Guang, but he also directed the fire at Big Beard Deng, who had given Qin Guang a chance. You're not done yet, are you? Qin Guang typed furiously on the keyboard for a while. I don't know which eye of some idiot saw that I was hyping things up. He secretly watched the premiere and ran home happily. Then someone held a pile of **T in his hand and tried to stuff it into my mouth. Thanks, but I don't like your taste. You should just accept it. Some people are almost in their 40s, yet they're acting like young people in their 20s. Their old faces are so cute that I'm almost embarrassed. If you really want to pursue art, you should take care of yourself first and then others, okay? He was talking about Zhang Tianming, but he wasn't complaining about Country and Throne. Instead, he was complaining about the terrible idol movie that Zhang Tianming had acted in the first half of the year. Today, when the box office of the movie industry was exploding, that movie didn't even make 50 million yuan. It was also scolded on the internet. It was a stain on Zhang Tianming's life. Ah, Brother Almighty has finally flipped out. I thought he would be able to hold it in much longer. Brother Almighty well scolded. What art? You're so bad at acting, yet you can't bear to see others doing well. Even a minor character can be more eye-catching than the male lead. I don't know what you guys think, but if it were me, I'd kill myself with a piece of tofu. An old senior scolding a newcomer for no reason, and still has the cheek to say that he's hyping things up. That's right. Zhang Tianming feels that he's almost past his prime. He's in a hurry to hype things up to increase his popularity. It's urgent and crucial. Brother Almighty, ignore him. Don't let him use you. These were the fans who supported Qin Guang. However, those fans of Zhang Tianming were furious. They were like cats whose tails had been stepped on. They rushed to Qin Guang's Weibo and said all sorts of nasty things. Zhang Tianming's sore spot was caught by Qin Guang. He was disgusted and replied on Weibo, "You're still saying that it's not hyping things up? Don't you want to use me to become famous? I'll make you famous, eh?" After saying that, he tagged Qin Guang again. Qin Guang, the one who stirs up trouble first is a scumbag. Zhang Tianming, what kind of manners are you? Can you talk about the matter as it stands? Qin Guang, no matter how bad my manners are, I'm still better than the scumbag who stirs up trouble first. Talk about the King Hai matter. And you're still a university student. You're full of vulgarities. I say what kind of person I meet. I speak human language when I meet people, I speak nonsense when I meet ghosts, and I speak vulgarities when I meet dirty things. *CK. Yo, you're a celebrity, an artist, and a public figure. A best actor is scolding people. Everyone come and see. A best actor is greeting someone's family. How can this kind of trash be a best actor? Zhang Tianming. As a popular movie star, he did not have much experience in scolding people on the internet. Especially when he was putting on airs, he was not used to Qin Guang's unorthodox way of saying scumbags every time he opened his mouth. He also wanted to be a hoodlum like Qin Guang, but he had to cherish his reputation. He could not do it. While Zhang Tianming was scolding him into silence, another two people jumped out. In the end, just as the two of them appeared, Qin Guang said again, "The scumbag things Sharpay came to bite me together. I'm just a small character. Did I dig up your ancestral grave or step on your father's memorial tablet? Oh, come on, come and scold me. Come and stir up trouble, don't stop. If I don't curse 18 generations of your ancestors to death, will my surname not be Qin? *CK your mother, do you really think I'm a sick cat if I don't show my prowess?" What did it mean to have tens of millions of internet celebrities scolding people? It meant that once they started scolding, there would be millions of people watching the show in an instant. Qin Guang's unorthodox way of scolding stunned Zhang Tianming and the others. We're just scolding people secretly, but you're full of vulgarities right off the bat. It's different from the scolding battle we've seen before. You're a famous internet celebrity, a public figure, yet you're scolding people shamelessly. You have no sense of propriety. They had never seen such a celebrity before, so they were completely defenseless. Qin Guang didn't usually like to use vulgarities, But this time he was infuriated. I'm not even close to you, so why am I in the mood to play subtle with you? You make me unhappy, so I'll scold you first. Seeing that a large group of people couldn't retaliate against Qin Guang's scolding, the onlookers nearly burst into laughter. Even Xianxia and the others who were speaking up for Qin Guang were sweating profusely. They even pitted Zhang Tianming. Superstar Zhang thought that this was a normal scene of celebrities scolding each other to create hype, but in the end they didn't play along. You're deflated, right? You're angry, right? You want to scold back, but you're afraid of ruining your image, right? You're embarrassed, right? Aren't you asking for it? Through the computer, Zhang Tianming slammed the table. F***ck. This scumbag. He's too despicable. I want to scold him to death. With that said, he started typing on Weibo. F***c. Before he could send it out, his agent stopped him from doing so. Brother Tianming. Don't. Please don't. He's a country bumpkin, but we don't have to be like him. Bam. Zhang Tianming slammed the table again. So I'm just scolding him for nothing? The manager thought of an idea. This guy is a public figure and his words are full of vulgarities. I'll call the Weibo company to block him. We've been working with the Weibo company for so many years, so we have to give them some face. Zhang Tianming rolled his eyes. That's a good idea. We'll block him first before trampling on him. 2 minutes later, his manager hung up the phone with a bitter expression. Weibo doesn't agree to it. They even said that they can't control this almighty Superman account. Zhang Tianming was dumbfounded. What? The manager shook his head. I don't know either. What do we do now? Zhang Tianming glared. The manager continued to shake his head. I still don't know. About 5 minutes later, Zhang Tianming finally replied, I don't want to waste my saliva on people without manners. People like you aren't welcome in the entertainment industry. The manager said cautiously, Brother Tianming, won't we offend Jin Shirue too much by hyping him up like this? What if Jin Shirue stands up for Qin Guang now? Wouldn't the situation be disadvantageous to us? Chapter 464. Zhang Tianming shook his head. Don't worry about that. Although Jin Shirue has a powerful background, she hasn't suppressed anyone in the industry all these years. We didn't provoke her. We're just stepping on Qin Guang a little. It's still uncertain whether these two will succeed in the future. Besides, if Jin Shirue really supports Qin Guang, doesn't that prove that I'm right? All men cared about their face, and it was the same for Qin Guang. Speaking of which, it's really infuriating. It wasn't easy for him to act in a blockbuster movie, but a small character is actually shouting louder than me. I don't believe there's nothing fishy going on here. Zhang Tianming was right about this. Qin Guang had just restrained Jin Shirue and Jiang Yage over the phone, telling them not to get involved in this matter and to pretend that they didn't see anything. Don't worry about it. Look at what the internet is saying about me. Don't you think I'm being wronged? I haven't even done anything, but people are scolding me for living off a woman. This isn't the first time I've heard this today. In the afternoon when I was watching the premiere at the cinema, I was also scolded like this. It's intolerable. Qin Guang slammed the phone down and planned to continue scolding. At this moment, an important figure finally spoke up. Big Beard Deng updated his Weibo. He didn't mention names but just said, when I, Big Beard Deng, make movies, I never care about relationships. Even if it's my son, it's impossible for him to get away with it. I can't stand a single grain of sand in my eyes. Qin Guang's acting is very good and I like it very much. Although he has never studied performing arts professionally, as Xianxia said, he is very talented. I haven't even seen a young actor who is more talented than him. Are you interested in playing a supporting role in my next movie? You're still a little lacking as the main lead, but you can take it slow. Deng Xiaojiang directly Qin Guang at the end of this Weibo post. Big Beard Deng publicly invited Qin Guang to act in a movie. A single stone caused 1,000 ripples. Just a moment ago, Zhang Tianming had said that no one in the entertainment industry welcomed Qin Guang. In the blink of an eye, a big-shot director like Director Deng had actually asked him to act in a movie. This slap in the face had come too abruptly. It's true that you're a popular movie star, but he's the chief director. Do you think he has a better eye for people than you? Moreover, this was the famous director Deng Xiaojiang, who was famous for his strictness. He wasn't some small fry who could enter the crew just by bribing them. Qin Guang was amused. My uncle is still the best. Look, with just a word from my uncle, all the doubts have been dispelled. Looking at Deng Xiaozhang's Weibo post, Zhang Tianming felt as if he had eaten tea. He didn't expect Qin Guang and director Deng to have such a good relationship. He couldn't figure it out. After all, he was a veteran actor who had been in the industry for many years. Big Beard Deng didn't give him any face at all. Although he didn't scold him by name, this was worse than scolding him directly. He really couldn't say a word for a long time. Since then, the online scolding war on the night tears will run dry was announced to have come to an end. The group of haters led by Zhang Tianming had been completely defeated. They didn't win in scolding people. They were scolded to death by Qin Guang. They didn't even resist. Instead, Big Beard Deng stood out to express his stance. They managed to stir up some fame, but unfortunately it wasn't a good one. Others only remembered how helpless and cowardly they were after being scolded. Qin Guang chuckled as he looked at his computer and replied to Deng Xiaozhang, "All right. I won't let uncle down." He thought that Big Beard Deng was just saying it casually to keep up appearances. He didn't want to take it seriously. Unexpectedly, within 30 seconds, Big Beard Deng personally called him. "Then it's settled. I'll send you the script in 2 days. You'll play the drug addict second male lead. Think about the role yourself. We'll probably start filming next month." Qin Guang was dumbfounded. "Uncle, are you serious?" "Duh, do you think I'm joking with you? Don't shirk it, it's settled. To tell you the truth, if you don't come, we won't be able to continue filming. You'll understand when the time comes. I can't explain it in a few words now." Then Big Beard Deng hung up the phone. He obviously didn't want to give him a chance to shirk it. Qin Guang held his phone in a daze and looked up at the ceiling. He thought to himself, "Uncle, although my performance in Rivers and Mountains was quite good, there was a special reason for it." While he was in a daze, he saw that Big Beard Deng had updated his Weibo again. "I've just talked to Qin Guang over the phone. I'll announce that Qin Guang has officially joined the cast of Women and will be playing the second male lead. Please look forward to it. Damn. I've been forced to do something beyond my capabilities." Qin Guang suddenly came back to his senses. "With my lousy acting skills, how can I be the second male lead? I can still try to play the tree, and the second tree is barely up to the task. Isn't the second male lead worth my life? You've put me in a ditch just because of a disagreement." While he was still in a daze, Jiang Yage called again. Qin Guang, is what Big Beard said true?" Qin Guang said weakly, "I think maybe it's mostly true." Jiang Yage was amused. "It's good. I'm going to sign the contract with him. The role that he's given to me will be kissing the second male lead. I didn't want to take it at first, but if you're the second male lead, I'll take it." Then she hung up the phone again. 30 seconds later, Jiang Yage and Big Beard Deng updated their Weibo accounts almost at the same time, announcing that the role of the first female lead had been decided. Everything happened so quickly that Qin Guang couldn't react at all. When he finally came back to his senses, he stomped his feet and said, "I've been tricked. I've definitely been tricked. No wonder they said it had to be me. After all this time, I've really been living off Jiang Yage. She must have told Big Beard not to do the kissing scene, so she pushed the blame onto me." He was also pounding his chest and stamping his feet, regretting what he had done. "Uncle, don't be like this. I thought you were going to lend me a helping hand at a critical moment, but you came with a cage. Although I managed to muddle through acting in Country and Throne, there are too many scenes for the second male lead. I can't possibly rely on hypnosis every day, and Lioli might not agree to it either. What should I do?" Just as he was lamenting in his heart, he felt that something was amiss. Am I Faith? He suddenly realized something. It seemed like the production of Faith had increased a little. A few days ago, the production was about 30,000 points a day. This evening, after he came back and argued with people online for 2 hours and made a few phone calls, the production of Faith had actually increased by more than 3,000 points, reaching a total of 34,000 points a day. The Alto statue had originally been producing 20,000 points a day, but the increase wasn't much, only about 500 points. The pencil statue's production had skyrocketed from 60 points a day to nearly 1,000 points. The piano statue's production had increased from more than 1,000 points a day to about 2,500 points, a net increase of 1,500 points. The production of the 3 great statues of alto, pencil and piano had increased by a considerable margin, but the Dota statue had not moved. Why was that? After a careful examination, he realized that when he was arguing with people, he had attracted a lot of new viewers who were not fans of the Almighty Superman account. Perhaps they had come to criticize him, or perhaps they had come to support him. Anyway, after the incident, they seemed to have watched the historical videos that he had previously posted one by one. As a cultured and talented internet celebrity, the videos that Qin Guang had posted were all genuine and could make people have the urge to worship him after watching them. The fact that the Alto statue could still increase was a pleasant surprise, but on second thought it wasn't strange. Although he had made a big name for himself in the Xianxia gambling race and became a well-deserved god in the underground racing world, underground racing was ultimately a small circle, and he had not won any rankings in internationally famous racing competitions. Others might be thinking about who's the fastest racer, but their admiration for Qin Guang wouldn't be comparable to them calling out Qin Guang as the fastest racer. Attracting people to watch the video again was equivalent to making his originally illusory image in people's hearts more tangible, and it was understandable that the faith value would increase. The pencil statue's increase was so astonishing that it had increased by more than 10 times, which was normal. Those who had not seen his video would wonder who in the world was the best sharpener in the world. This was simply a qualitative change from nothing to something. As for the Daoist statue, it was also normal that there was almost no increase. The record of 10,000 points in the 4 servers was right there, and players around the world could see it. Some time ago when he was live streaming to increase his points, the rhythm of Tiaba and forums exploded. Almost all the Dota players knew about it, and the fans that should have come were already there. The reason why it didn't increase now was because it had reached its peak. After all, there were only so many players in this game. Seeing the faith value and his popularity increase, Qin Guang was extremely happy. This was really not a loss. Looking at the comments below Weibo, he knew the change. Oh my god, this pencil sharpening. Is he even human? I'm a professional racer. Just now my coach and teammates asked me why I was kneeling and playing with my phone, and now they're kneeling on the ground with me. It's my lifelong regret that I couldn't see Brother Almighty's live broadcast of the piano performance. Fortunately, there are videos here. I hope the Almighty will update more videos related to the piano. I'm your piano fan. Strongly requesting Almighty to participate in the WRC rally. Don't you think it's scary? Sharpening a pencil like this in 1 second. Isn't sharpening pencils the best? I'm the head coach of the Volkswagen team. I really can't contact the blogger, so I can only reply to the comments here. If Mr. Qin is interested, please contact me to join the Volkswagen team. This was actually a reply from a verified Weibo, and it was really a team coach. Reading these replies one by one, Qin Guang grinned. Earning faith value was happier than earning money. Cursing on the street could also gain new fans. What a pleasant surprise. Not only that, even his Weibo fans had increased to more than 11 million. He hoped that there would be a few more weak opponents like Zhang Tianming in the future so that he could not only scold them for fun, but also increase his popularity. Chapter 465. However, there was one thing that made him particularly regretful. There were also a lot of comments from fans under the dart-throwing videos, but because there was no statue, these fans could not be converted into faith points. Qin Guang was anxious. He did not know what the problem was. The dart-throwing statue had not been built yet. If it really doesn't work, should I try to do both a live broadcast and Weibo tomorrow? After making up his mind, Qin Guang first called Xiao Chong to inform him in advance. He planned to do a live broadcast of the dart-throwing competition tomorrow afternoon. Since it was a live broadcast, he couldn't stay at home alone. Qin Guang also found a famous dart-throwing club in Wujing on the internet and prepared to go directly to the venue tomorrow morning. Since he was going to do it, he had to do it the best. Therefore, he had to take a shower and change his clothes. Then he calmed down and adjusted his state of mind and state. After doing this, he decisively lay down on the bed, quickly meditated, and then fell asleep. The next morning, before he had time to go out, he received good news. Weibo's social media traffic fee had been received. No more, no less. It was exactly 1 million in cash. Normal social media with tens of millions of fans did not have such a high advertising commission. Those who understood would know that the same tens of millions of fans Qin Guang had were all living users who could provide real click-through rates. Some celebrities with 40 to 50 million fans had less than a third of Qin Guang's Weibo comments and reposts. He was worried that he did not have enough money to get a membership card for the dart throwing club. Weibo's company was kind enough to give him a big gift. He went to the breakfast shop at the entrance of the community and ate 3 big buns and a bowl of porridge. He enjoyed the joy of a commoner's breakfast. Then, under the gaze of some girls in the community with ulterior motives, he drove out in his phaeton. Nowadays, sunglasses were a common item. Without them, it was almost impossible to move. Fortunately, he was not famous enough at the moment. After all, there were only a few people who could recognize him from his face and figure. A pair of sunglasses was enough. When he arrived in the city, he went to the place he had inquired about. Darts could be considered a minority among the minority. In the vast Wujing city, there were less than 5 clubs that specialized in this line of business. The club that Qin Guang had chosen was currently the largest. At about 10 o'clock in the morning, he leisurely arrived at the place and walked into the empty hall. It was so quiet that a sneeze could scare the soul out of a person. The girls at the front desk were quite pretty. They tidied themselves up cleanly and looked energetic. "Hello, sir. Are you here to register for the competition?" That was the short lunch break for office workers and after school for the monks. It was the time of the day when he could get the most popularity. Xiaotsong was kind. After Qin Guang told him about it last night, he started to build momentum on the internet. When it was almost noon, the news that Almighty Superman was going to start a new round of live broadcast had already caused an uproar on the internet. This was the reason why there was a lot of controversy when one was popular. The content of his previous live broadcast was the game Dota. The people who were attracted were either fans of the celebrities who reposted it or fans of Dota. In the past few days, the people who accompanied him in his live broadcast were basically people who really liked this game. There were people who criticized him, but there weren't many, and they were all concentrated in the category of Dota. Of course, in the end, he also showed his undeniable ability and made all the doubters shut their mouths. The only god in the world with 4 servers, no one could doubt him no matter what he said. But this time in Xiaotsong's promotion, he, as a game streamer, stopped broadcasting games halfway through and switched to broadcasting darts, which people couldn't understand. Those who didn't like him had something to say, especially the hired water army of Bamboo's rival platform. They were even more unscrupulous. What's so good about throwing darts? Is he treating people like fools? That's right. I think it's super boring even if I use my toes to think about it. He thinks he's a celebrity and anything he broadcasts can be popular. Who cares if you want to watch it or not? Some people with a little bit of fame become arrogant. No matter how loud Bamboo's advertisement is, I'm not interested in watching other people throw darts. Just thinking about it makes me feel awkward. Once Xiaotsong's promotion started, similar views emerged on the internet. Coupled with the fight between Qin Guang and Zhang Tianming's fans hated him. They even formed a group to criticize his Weibo post announcing that he was going to broadcast his darts skills. Chapter 466. Qin Guang only smiled calmly at these doubts and negations. He then activated the membership function of Weibo and muted them. It couldn't be helped. Old Master Guang was just that magnanimous and never bothered with invisible haters. Little Tsong wasn't very confident about Qin Guang's live stream. He hoped that Qin Guang would broadcast games honestly. Even if he changed from Dota Tower to League of Legends, it would still be within the scope of games. With Qin Guang's standard, he would be able to maintain a stable live stream for a period of time. Coupled with Bamboo's disregard for returns, if he didn't become popular, Little Tsong wouldn't be able to continue his business. Of course, Zhongbai had also given him a heads up. He patted his chest and told him that no matter what it was, as long as Brother Racer God said there was no problem, he shouldn't be so suspicious and just go ahead and smash it. As long as he was willing to believe in him, he would definitely give him a bright tomorrow. It was noon and Qin Guang's live stream was about to begin. His fans were waiting eagerly and his enemies were secretly cursing him. At noon, surrounded by the club's receptionist, Qin Guang had a sumptuous Western meal in the club. The club's boss came late after hearing the news. He first praised the manager who gave Qin Guang his lifetime membership for free, and then went to talk to Qin Guang about the livestream advertisement. Frankly speaking, Qin Guang didn't know much about these things and didn't know how to ask for a price. Everything happened in a hurry and he didn't even think about selling the advertisement rights for his live stream. The club's boss proposal came too suddenly. Qin Guang had to call Little Tsong, who was knowledgeable, to discuss this matter before he had a grasp on it. Both parties negotiated another ladder contract. As for how much he could get, it would depend on the number of viewers and the duration of the livestream. At 12:30 the livestream started on time. The pretty receptionist named Little Fong received a temporary task and was responsible for taking pictures of Qin Guang up and down with her phone. On the other side, the club's boss, who was a photography enthusiast, simply took out his digital camera and was responsible for recording the video, preparing to post it on Weibo later. Zhong Bai? Have you really seen him throw darts? Little Tsong was anxiously waiting in the live broadcast room. As he watched the popularity of the live broadcast room slowly increase, he felt very nervous. A few days ago when Qin Guang broadcasted Dota, as long as it was broadcasted in less than 5 minutes, the number of viewers in the live broadcast room could exceed 300,000. At most, in half an hour all of them were more than 1 million. At the peak of the night, even 2 million live viewers were not a problem. Today's show was about darts. The content seemed to be a little too long and the popularity was not as high as before. Little Tsong really could not calm down, so he quietly called Zhong Bai to ask for some reassurance. He didn't expect Zhong Bai to lose his temper. What did you say when we signed the contract? This is the first time he's changed his approach and you're already so suspicious. How are you going to cooperate with him in the future? If you really don't feel at ease, I'll help you talk to him. Why don't you just cancel the contract? Little Tsong hurriedly explained that he didn't have such thoughts and was just feeling guilty for a moment. It wasn't just Little Tsong who was worried. Seeing that the popularity of the live broadcast room was not as high as before, the people who were scolding Qin Guang had something to say. In fact, Qin Guang himself was also quite troubled. Seeing that the popularity of the live broadcast was increasing rather slowly, and then looking at the bullet screen one after another saying that there were no games and that he was broadcasting outdoors, he unfollowed it and left. This made him even lose the mood to perform. Boss, why don't you help me shoot a short video first, then I'll post it on Weibo to increase my popularity. 5 minutes later, Qin Guang posted a 30-second long video on Weibo. There were no special effects or any editing. It was just him standing far away and throwing a few darts. Then the club boss carried the DV and jogged all the way to the front of the target, just in time to see the few darts that he had thrown earlier strung together. There was a caption attached below. The strongest unique dart technique in history. If you don't watch it, you'll regret it for life. After that, he didn't care about anything else. He just held the darts and threw them at the target. He even chased the club boss and Xiao Feng out of the training room. He only asked them to place the DV and mobile phone on the cabinet and film it in his direction. The popularity of the live broadcast room increased very slowly. Even though Little Tsong had thrown out a lot of advertisements, the people who initially clicked into the live broadcast room were basically here for the game. When they saw that he was not broadcasting a game but a dart-throwing game, most of the game viewers ran away. On one side, the audience was constantly losing viewers, and on the other side, there were new viewers who were attracted by advertisements or Almighty Superman's Weibo. With one side decreasing and the other increasing, it was already good that the total number of viewers could still increase. Slowly the number of viewers increased by 10,000. Until an hour after the broadcast, the total number of viewers had not exceeded 500,000. This was embarrassing. This time Almighty Superman finally made a fool of himself. He forgot his surname after becoming popular for a while. Did he look down on others? How embarrassing, isn't it? He hasn't reached 500,000 viewers after broadcasting for half an hour. How embarrassing, isn't it? I'll just quietly watch him show off and quietly watch him suffer. If it's not a game, who would like to watch it? Even if I'm broadcasting Super Mario, as long as Bamboo gives me these promotional resources, my number of viewers will be much higher. Similar comments kept popping up in the bullet screen. Little Tsong had no other choice. He did not spend a single cent less on the promotional resources, but darts broadcasting was still too niche. Moreover, if he kept going against the target, there wouldn't be any fresh excitement and it wouldn't be able to attract people. At around 3 in the afternoon, the number of viewers was stuck at 600,000. It didn't go up or down and it couldn't move anymore. Qin Guang stared at his phone anxiously. He felt sorry for himself. There were only a few viewers and there was no hope of getting the statue of God. At this moment Azure suddenly said in his heart, "Didn't we agree before? How much time has passed in 2 months? You can count the days yourself. Anyway, I'll say the ugly words first. If you don't complete it within the time limit, you'll definitely experience what it's like to be the king of anal prolapse in one-line heavens. It'll definitely be beyond your imagination." Qin Guang was anxious. "Don't do that." Unfortunately, it was useless. Azure didn't say anything again. The points of a certain Dota ID called Jiang Luhua were skyrocketing. He was really busy. Could it be that the old man's sea of stars was going to stop here? The owner of the heavenly Holy Grail had died of anal prolapse? I'm not convinced. At this moment, a certain pale-faced youth came to the darts club. It was someone Qin Guang hadn't expected, Xuelin. He pushed the door open and saw Qin Guang's battered appearance. He rushed up and said, "I've finally found you again." Qin Guang wasn't in the mood to waste time with him. He just thought that he was here to be his disciple again. "I've said it many times. I can't teach you inner force. You win. I'm not in the mood to talk nonsense with you now." Xuelin said anxiously, No, Brother Qin Guang, I'm not here to learn inner force. Qin Guang waved his hand and pointed to the phone. "Wait, I'm doing a live broadcast here. Your identity is sensitive. Don't let slip what you shouldn't say." Xuelin looked at the phone's camera blankly. "Live broadcast? What's that?" "You and I are definitely not the same age. You're a pitiful person without leisure and entertainment." Xuelin said seriously, "I'm a soldier. My duty is to protect the country. Soldiers don't need entertainment." "Right, shut up. If these words get out, you'll be swallowed alive by your comrades." Qin Guang waved his hand impatiently. "Go, I'm busy." Xuelin seemed to be determined. He wouldn't give up until he achieved his goal. He lowered his voice and said, "I've asked Uncle Wu. Your fist force can reach 800 kilograms. But you don't look strong. You don't even know inner force. So I think you must have a very special training method. Brother Qin Guang, on behalf of the military, I formally apply to you to ask you to teach this training method to the military. This is a matter of unparalleled merit. This is more applicable than inner force. Do you believe that I won't beat you up? This is my trump card. You want to take it from me with just a sentence of unparalleled merit? Are you an idiot or what? Or do you think I'm stupid?" Qin Guang was annoyed by his words. He said it as if he would be a sinner if he didn't teach it. He couldn't stand this kind of saying that he wanted to take personal things and turn them into the country's. Xuelin's words reminded him of a joke. Someone dug out a priceless Ming Dynasty cultural relic from his home and donated it to the country. He received a reward of 5,000 yuan. Besides, how could he teach his Qilin arm training method? If he really told him everything, wouldn't it make him think that he was a big liar? Can I tell you that my 800-kilogram fist force was achieved by hitting more than 2,000 brass fireworks? However, Xuelin's appearance still made him vigilant. His performance was still a bit beyond ordinary people. It was inevitable that he would attract attention. Qin Guang thought, I don't know if Xuelin is doing this on his own or if he was instructed by someone. They can't get the inner force training method from people like Wenwen, so they are thinking of me, an ordinary person. This is not a good thing. I don't want to be dragged to be dissected and studied for no reason. Who can I find to reason with? I really don't mean that. As long as you are willing to teach me. Although Xuelin was handsome, he was really a martial arts fanatic. He made a decision in his mind and couldn't change it at all. He stared at Qin Guang and said so. All of a sudden, Qin Guang's expression turned solemn as he asked, Is this your personal idea or did someone send you here? Xuelin was stunned at first and then said without thinking, It's just my personal idea at the moment, but as long as you are willing, bang. Aren't you looking for trouble for me? Qin Guang punched him in the stomach. He was already angry. Last time on the Phoenix Spring Mountain, you and Uncle Wu helped me deal with the aftermath. I owe you some favors, but you'd better put away this idea in your heart. I'm not always so easy to talk to. Do you think I'm easy to bully or what? Are you done? Xuelin still wanted to say something, but Qin Guang punched him in the stomach again, making him completely unable to resist. If beating me can make you change your mind, then beat me. Although Xuelin couldn't move, he straightened his neck and still didn't give in. Since I saw my brother die in front of me, I made up my mind to make myself more powerful. No one can shake me." His eyes flashed with madness. Chapter 467. Qin Guang fell silent. He knew what Xuelin meant. The first time they met, Xuelin had said something similar. Xuelin had single-handedly annihilated World 9 and his men without any injuries. Xuelin had led a special forces team to encircle World 8 and his men, but 3 of his comrades had died. Xuelin would definitely feel indignant. The last time they met, Xuelin had wanted to learn something, but he hadn't been this crazy. What happened? Qin Guang moved closer and asked softly. Xuelin took a deep breath and lowered his voice. He gritted his teeth and said, "The day before yesterday, the Shattered World Organization launched a revenge operation. They ambushed 8 of my colleagues who were on a mission at the border. My 8 brothers who had gone through thick and thin with me are all dead. I want to take revenge for them." Qin Guang's heart tightened. "What? Didn't you say that the Shattered World wouldn't dare enter the country?" Xuelin lowered his head. "That's why they did it outside the border. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have let my guard down. I should have known that they wouldn't let this go. If I had asked them to be more careful, they wouldn't have been ambushed when they were defenseless. If I had left World 8 behind, they wouldn't have died. I caused the deaths of my brothers. I can't accept this. I really can't accept this." As he said this, Xuelin's body trembled uncontrollably. He couldn't hide the pain and anger in his heart. Although Qin Guang hated Xuelin, he was still thinking about the people from Xuelin's Special Forces team who had helped clean up the mess on Phoenix Spring Mountain. Although Qin Guang had never spoken to them, he remembered that they were all energetic young men. He hadn't expected that after not seeing them for half a month, they would be separated from each other. If he were in Xuelin's shoes and his comrades died, he would probably feel as indignant and resentful as Xuelin. "But you shouldn't have to face this alone, right? Didn't the military say anything?" Qin Guang's tone started to soften. He didn't want to admit it, but he was indeed touched by Xuelin. Xuelin shook his head. "You don't know the uniqueness of the Shattered World Organization. Although the Chinese military has always been strong, they can't do much about this kind of hidden killer organization. Unless it's absolutely necessary, the military won't openly declare war with the killer organization. This often represents a huge unstable factor." Qin Guang nodded. He could understand what Xuelin was talking about. When facing hidden enemies, if they couldn't eliminate them cleanly, they couldn't easily start a conflict. Even if Xuelin's comrades had already paid the price of their lives outside the border, this matter was too important to be willful and reckless like a child playing house. If top-notch assassins like Shi 8 and 9 were to flood into the country on a large scale, the damage they could cause would probably not be inferior to a small-scale war. In a country that prioritized stability, this was an unbearable burden. "I can't rely on the military. I Qin I Yui Yen I Guer. I can Tian I and I Tian Lin I Guer Tian I Lin Yang. I want to fight against the Shattered World with my own strength. My current strength isn't enough," Xuelin said. Seeing that Qin Guang was moved, Xuelin continued, "I can swear to God that as long as you're willing to help me, I won't leak your secret. If I can make it back alive, my life will be yours from now on. Sister Wu Tong and I grew up together. She knows what kind of person I am. Please, on account that I'm Sister Wu Tong's childhood friend, help me." Qin Guang was briefly stunned by Su Tao's words. He couldn't reject Su Tao's offer. "But I really can't teach you this method. I can't explain it to you, but I can only tell you that my situation can't be replicated. If I could teach you, I would teach you. But the truth is that I really can't teach you." Qin Guang helplessly sighed and continued, "I can't bear to see you like this. Actually, you can teach me." At this moment, Liuli's voice suddenly appeared in his heart. Qin Guang was shocked. "But I can teach you? What do you mean?" Liuli chuckled. "Faith. It can't be. Faith has such an effect." Qin Guang was dumbfounded. Liuli nodded in his heart. "There's no hope for him to reach your level, but it's still possible to help him strengthen a little. Pay about 600,000 faith points, and you can drag the target designated by the redeemed into a designated world in a cup and enjoy a short training service. As for the effect, it might be 1/3 to half of a normal world in a cup. It depends on the trainee's talent and luck. Take this young man in front of you. From my point of view, the effect of his training will be about 2/5 of yours. Qin Guang asked. That's an increase of 20% from his current level. Liuli nodded. Yes. 600,000 faith points. Liuli nodded again. That's right. By paying the faith points, you will have more control over the additional world in a cup. After all, this is a benefit that you have earned yourself. You can think of it as a value-added service of the Heavenly Holy Grail. It's similar to the Blue Diamond or Purple Diamond membership in QQ. This made Qin Guang overjoyed. Then won't I be able to train whoever I want? This is too awesome. Liuli chuckled. It's not that simple. When you are training by yourself with my protection, you won't die no matter what. But if it's someone else, I won't be able to protect them. A moment of carelessness and they will die. This young man in front of you is considered to have very good innate conditions among ordinary people, but his survival rate is no higher than 37%. Do you have to be so accurate? It's that accurate. What you train is only half-baked skills and you can lose your life at any time. Are you willing to let your female confidants go in and die? Qin Guang shook his head. I really can't bear to. But this young man, you are willing to, right? Liuli asked. Qin Guang thought for a while. I definitely have to make things clear with him. If he insists, I have no reason to refuse. Oh right, this won't expose you, will it? Don't worry about this. The Heavenly Holy Grail still has some tricks up its sleeve. After it's done, he won't remember anything. He only knows one thing, and that is that he became stronger after waking up. Xuelin still didn't know that Qin Guang had already made an unspeakable PY deal with Liuli in his heart. When she heard Qin Guang say that he couldn't teach her, she just lay on the ground with an ashen face. She really didn't have any spirit left in her. He said quietly, forget it. If it's really fate, then I don't have any extravagant hopes. In a few days I will try it alone. My brothers are all dead and I don't have the qualifications to live on alone. Even if I die, I will drag a few people from the world shatter down with me. Qin Guang's gaze shifted. You really aren't afraid of death? Xuelin's expression changed. Of course. I'm a soldier. It's really good to be a soldier. I thank you on behalf of ordinary people. Qin Guang suddenly praised her. Xuelin was a little embarrassed. Don't say that. Actually, I didn't make any great contributions. On the contrary, I feel very incompetent. Actually, I have a way to teach you, but it will take some time to prepare. You're not in a hurry, right? Qin Guang suddenly changed the topic. Xuelin was overjoyed. Really? It's okay. I can wait. With a grin on his face, Qin Guang continued, but I'll say it first. This method of mine isn't guaranteed to work. If you succeed, your strength will increase by 20%. However, if you're not careful, you will die under my training. Your survival rate is only 37%. Don't ask me why I can calculate it so accurately. Anyway, this is the probability. Will you do it? Oh my god. Increase by 20%. Xuelin's eyes widened in disbelief. Qin Guang felt that the training effect was reduced. However, in Xuelin's mind, it was almost a fantasy. As an elite special force soldier, he had long practiced the conventional training methods to the extreme. His innate conditions had also been developed to the limit. If he couldn't learn inner force, no matter how hard he trained, he could only maintain his current level. That was why he wanted to learn inner force like crazy. That was why he shamelessly came to Qin Guang for help. However, it was just a desperate attempt. Now that he suddenly heard what Qin Guang said, it could actually increase his arm strength by 20%. This was simply a miracle. This meant that his physical strength could surpass the shackles of his own innate conditions and reach another level. At the level of special force soldiers, the gap between the real top powerhouses and ordinary excellent soldiers was often this little bit of improvement. Everyone had practiced the conventional training methods to the extreme. As long as they could go one step beyond the limit and surpass the limits of human conditions, whether it was reaction speed or strength, any of these military qualities could make this special force soldier stand out and become the elite of the elite. He actually said he could forcibly increase it by 20%. I'm not dreaming, right? Then I will become one of the strongest soldiers in the entire Chinese military world. Is what you said true? 20%. You're not lying to me, are you? Xuelin asked with a trembling voice. Qin Guang's mouth twitched. Bro, what you're concerned about is not what I think. Shouldn't you be concerned about your own survival rate? Nonsense, what do I get from lying to you? 20% is nothing. Otherwise, where do you think my 800 kilograms fist came from? Xuelin nodded heavily. Okay, let's do it. You might die. It's not a joke. You might really die. Xuelin laughed. Even if there is only a 1/3 chance of survival, I can't resist this temptation, not to mention your survival rate is as high as 37%. I have no reason to refuse at all. I have never been afraid of death. Qin Guang looked at his firm eyes and only silently said in his heart, what a handsome man of iron blood. Then the matter was settled. It was just that the pitiful production of faith value was only about 34,000 a day. It was not easy to save 150,000 before, but Luli casually used the cup to accelerate it. Now it was very difficult to save more than 100,000. There was still a long way to go to meet the expenses of 600,000. This feeling was as embarrassing as finding out that the credit card had been maxed out before the Moonlight clan had received their salary. It was not easy to earn some faith value. It was unavoidable that he felt sorry for himself if he gave it away before he even got it. Therefore he could not help Xuelin for nothing. He had to make some contributions for himself. Qin Guang rolled his eyes and already had an idea. Qin Guang smiled. The old man is touched by your sincerity. I have no problem helping you, but before that you have to help me do something small. Xuelin was at a loss. What? Chapter 468. 15 minutes later, the owner of the dart club was sweating profusely as he looked at Qin Guang and Xuelin, who was fixed on the big disc. His heart was pounding. This disc was used by an acrobat trained in the club. The acrobat's wife was tied to the disc, and then the acrobat threw a knife at the disc. The knife would graze the acrobat's wife and hit the disc. In order to increase the excitement of the acrobatic performance, the big disc could also be spun, and the performance on TV was perfect. This kind of performance was very exciting, and the acrobat was very popular in China. Now he was not popular anymore. As for where he was now? In prison. How did he get in? The cause and effect of the incident was too bloody to talk about, so it was better not to talk about it. It was also painful and everyone had to sigh. Now the grass on the grave of the poor acrobat's wife was already 3 feet high. Bro, do you really want to do this? This is not good. If something happens, I will not be able to answer to my superiors. The club owner tried to persuade him. When the acrobat had an accident outside, the whole club had to close down for 3 months. Although this incident had nothing to do with them, it was inevitable that they would be implicated. Qin Guang had absolute confidence in himself. He just waved his hand. It's okay. You can rest assured. Xuelin also said, Boss, don't worry about me. I am doing this voluntarily. I will never implicate you. The club owner's face was full of tears. He thought to himself, celebrities nowadays really know how to play. I'm so nervous. Otherwise, I should quietly call the police to stop these 2 lunatics. Xuelin reminded him. Boss, don't call the police. I am from the army, and I am the captain of the special forces of the Wujing military region. The police system cannot interfere with my decisions. In short, I believe in Bro Qin Guang. The boss's face was even more bitter. Oh my God, you are from the army. That's right. Qin Guang's plan was very simple. Seeing that throwing darts was not enough to make him popular, he might as well do something more exciting and scary. Live people as targets. Just ask the audience if they are afraid and if it is exciting. I don't believe this won't be popular. When Qin Guang saw that Xuelin was so understanding and thought highly of him, he gave him 32 thumbs up in his heart. Although I've always been annoyed by you, I have to admit that you have good taste. Don't worry, my dart skills are world-class, no historical. Looking at the history of the human race for 5,000 years, this is definitely unprecedented. Even if I closed my eyes and swung it, I definitely wouldn't be able to stab you. Xuelin nodded. I know. I have a 37% chance of surviving. Qin Guang rolled his eyes. To be honest, I wasn't referring to this when I said probability. The boss was about to cry. He didn't know how the 2 of them calculated just now. The death rate was as high as 63%. This was the end. Boss, help me add some words to the live broadcast. He pulled the boss over. Qin Guang was not very familiar with the live broadcast on mobile phones. Add what? Gentle reminder, this is a professional performance. Please do not imitate it. Old version, this pitiful boss was really crying. The people in the live broadcast room also realized that the situation was not right. After Xuelin came in, the audience could not hear clearly what the two of them were mumbling about. They only knew that the two of them seemed to be very agitated and even got into a fight. As they fought, the white-faced handsome guy who just came in was tied up on a plate. Could it be that Brother All-Purpose was going to play it big? Faster, see. He's going to play for real. Hurry. Hurry up and hit 110. These two lunatics. Who can stop the two of them? Hurry. Is there any baller who can help Brother All-Purpose increase his popularity? Can you let him take a break? He's going crazy from wanting to be famous. What's going on in this young handsome guy's head? How can he be so crazy with him? Not to mention the audience, even Comrade Little Tsong, who had been waiting in the live broadcast room, jumped up from his office chair. Oh my God, brother, you're playing with your life. I don't care, I'm going to call the police. No one can stop me. The live broadcast had been upgraded again. Previously, during the live broadcast, Qin Guang had used his phone to shoot from the side, where he was throwing darts at a target in the distance. However, with Xiaofeng's enthusiastic help, the live broadcast had been upgraded to 3 cameras at the same time. One of the cameras was aimed at the big round plate with the human target hanging on it. Another was aimed horizontally to capture all the scenes in the training room. The third camera was aimed at the main character Qin Guang, trying to show his image in the most grandiose way possible. Xiaofeng, can you polish this phone? Can you polish it to make me more handsome? Qin Guang asked. Xiaofeng nodded. Of course. The beautifying camera has a 10-degree polish. Which degree do you want? Do you even need to ask? Of course, it has to be the highest. Alright. Forget it, don't polish it. I'm going to disappear. This isn't called polishing, it's called atomization. Although the club boss was very reluctant, he couldn't dissuade Qin Guang and Xuelin. After the police received the call from the enthusiastic crowd, they arrived within 5 minutes. However, no one could stop the two madmen, Qin Guang and Xuelin. At first, the responsible police intended to kidnap Xuelin directly. They thought that this young man must have been brainwashed by the internet celebrity, and that he was playing with his life. However, Xuelin took out her military officer's ID. After the police saw the young man's position on the ID and said that this was a special and confidential mission, they didn't want to interfere. In desperation, the crowd forced Qin Guang and Xuelin to spend 10 minutes to write a contract, stating that this matter was decided by the two of them after careful consideration, and all the consequences would be borne by them. While they were busy dealing with these matters, Qin Guang didn't know that the number of people in his live broadcast room was skyrocketing. No one can stop Brother All-Rounder from seeking death. So pitiful. This young man is very handsome. How can he be a psychopath? Can anyone contact Jean Shiyue? Call her quickly and ask her to stop her man. I'm Qin Guang's primary school classmate. I can responsibly tell you that this guy is dead. Strongly boycott this kind of unscrupulous streamer who disregards human life for popularity. I'm an acrobat from the Liaodong art troupe. I tell you clearly that he is committing a crime. It's illegal. Without professional certification and long-term professional training, this kind of behavior of using a real person as a human target is murder. Finally, an industry insider stood out to accuse Qin Guang. However, not everyone on the internet was cursing. Those that have watched Qin Guang's previous videos weren't feeling any pressure at all. They also understood that even if a mosquito was tied to a wall, Brother All-Rounder could cut off the mosquito's left leg without harming its joints, let alone placing a person there. Acrobat brother, I suggest you go to Brother All-Rounder's Weibo first. Light God, please accept me as your disciple. 5 minutes later, Acrobat brother returned. I'm pissing myself laughing. Acrobat brother is kneeling. All in all, the popularity of Qin Guang's livestream did not decrease in the slightest even after half an hour of preparation. On the contrary, the number of viewers had exceeded 2 million and it was still rising. An unknown enthusiastic police officer, Mr. Little Tsong, looked at the live broadcast in despair. He felt complicated and awkward. The popularity of Qin Guang's live broadcast exploded again. This was good news. Investing in him was definitely worth the ticket price. But he was courting death on his own website. Something really went wrong. Little Tsong expressed great pressure. Regardless of the noise outside, Qin Guang was very calm and ready to start work. Swinging his hand, Qin Guang smiled at the club boss, the receptionist, and a few police officers who were looking at him from behind. "Comrades, I'm starting," Xuelin roared. "Come on." Giving him a thumbs up, Qin Guang felt that Su Tao knew what was good for him. Everyone else might think that he was courting death, but only Su Tao knew that this was a piece of cake. "Dad, Mom, I love you guys." Little Xue couldn't control his emotions and roared. "Qin Guang, F***C, what do you mean? Are you looking down on me? After today I'll take revenge for my brothers. Then I'll go home and find a girlfriend to get married." Little Xue came again. Whoosh. A dart shot out like lightning and hit less than an inch away from Xuelin's earlobe. Qin Guang couldn't take it anymore. If this son of AB**th continued to make jokes, the old man's live broadcast would become an entertainment program. This isn't a talk show, so save it for me. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Another 3 darts flew out and hit Xuelin's armpit and crotch. After throwing a few more darts, this familiar scene, familiar feeling and familiar method, Qin Guang felt like he had returned to the time when he poked himself into a hornet's nest in the darts world. How painful was that? How much pain did I have to pay? The blood that flowed from my body could even fill up the entire Cupworld's pond. Only then was I able to master the god's dart. It's time to use a magnificent performance to commemorate this old man's lost youth. This time he grabbed 4 darts at the same time. The live broadcast room was filled with exclamations. 8 darts. Screams could be heard in front of the computer. 24 darts. Countless people covered their eyes in front of the computer. Spin. Qin Guang pressed the button and the disc began to spin slowly. The audience felt their scalps tingle. The darts were thrown out like raindrops. Speed up. The audience dialed 110 again. The darts were thrown out like a rainstorm. Speed up. The audience was speechless. The darts were thrown like they were worthless. Stop. The disc stopped and they could finally take a breather. Many people didn't dare to look at the screen. The police had already taken out their handcuffs and stood behind Qin Guang. Several white coats rushed out of the ambulance outside the club. He's fine. When the wheel came to a complete stop, people realized that little Xue was still in the same position. Countless darts crowded around him like grass, but none of them hurt him at all. God. Chapter 469. Unfastening the buckle, Xuelin jumped down, stretched her arms and shook her legs. Dang 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 dang. I'm fine. I'm alive. Look at what you're saying, it's so unpleasant. I already said it's foolproof. Qin Guang was very displeased with this young man's humility. You're going to fight with the assassin organization to avenge your brother. Look at how scared you are by this little stimulation. You're disappointing me. Countless people in front of the camera also breathed a sigh of relief. They could not believe their eyes. The wheel is spinning so fast. I think he's just throwing it blindly. He really didn't hit a single one. I thought the white-faced guy was dead for sure. Wow. When did the number of viewers reach more than 3 million? Just when everyone thought they could take a short break, Qin Guang and a few girls at the front desk quickly removed the darts and threw them into the basket next to them. Then Comrade Little Xue went up again. Hasn't he had enough? Everyone was shocked again. Under everyone's gaze, Qin Guang said calmly, I'll step back another 10 meters. Little Chong, the audience, the club owner, the police officer quietly took out his electric baton. Shall we just knock him out? Half an hour later, countless people were screaming and yelling. Comrade Little Xue was put down again and scathed. At this time, the number of viewers in the live broadcast had exceeded 5 million. They thought it was finally over. This torturous, frightening, and exciting live performance was finally over. They could finally go home after work and feel the warmth of home. Qin Guang said again, Xiaofang, do you have a blindfold? Faster see. Blindfold. What the F***ck? Brothers, I can't take it anymore. I'm going to have a heart attack. I'm leaving first. Brothers, I'm back. I swear, if Brother Almighty can really do this with a blindfold, I'll turn from a hater to a fan and be his fan from now on. Even if it's Brother Almighty's **T, I'll be able to smell it. the god of darts. I am omnipotent. Don't be in such a hurry to cheer. If something really happens, he'll be in jail. With so many people watching, even Jin Shuiwei won't be able to protect him. Even a celebrity's boyfriend has to go to jail if he breaks the law. That's right. If the emperor breaks the law, he will be punished the same as the commoners. Xue Lin was a battle-hardened soldier. He had been through a hail of bullets many times, so it wasn't like he hadn't tasted death before. He had seen his comrades lying in a pool of blood beside him with his own eyes. There were also bullet holes on his body. However, he never retreated, nor did he fear. He would never compromise, persevering in the righteousness of a soldier. He really didn't want to admit that he was very scared right now. To be honest, this feeling was even more terrifying than facing the enemy's gun on the battlefield. He could only watch as countless darts whizzed towards his face. He couldn't move, couldn't dodge. Again and again, round after round, it was like a never-ending nightmare. Every second he felt dizzy from the spinning, but at the same time he felt a fatal threat. The sound of every dart hitting the target was like a drum beating on his heart. At first Xue Lin thought that Qin Guang was just playing around. Gradually a thought came to his mind. A strange person must have something strange about him. There was no doubt that Qin Guang's strength was strong. With his body size he could throw a punch with 800 kilograms of strength. This meant that he wasn't inferior to an inner force expert in some aspects. Therefore a strong person like him wouldn't do things without a goal. This must be a test for him to accept me as his disciple. That's right, he wants to test my courage. If I want to become his disciple and learn his skills, I must have endless courage and guts. Let me face the threat of life and death again and again. Let me constantly squeeze out my potential under this terrible pressure and stimulation. You lied to me. You said you needed to wait for a while, but in fact you've been teaching me the secret of becoming stronger from now on. Brother Qin Guang, please allow me to call you master in my heart. After waiting for a minute, Xiaofang ran all the way back, panting heavily as she took back her blindfold. Young lads, mortals, it's time for you to witness the ultimate skill of God's darts that transcends human understanding. From today onwards, I guarantee that no one will dare to say that they know how to throw darts in front of me. In order to show off his domineering attitude, Qin Guang forcefully showed off his tragic acting skills and laughed loudly in a domineering tone. Then he silently picked up the blindfold and prepared to put it on. Wait, why is it a Mickey Mouse? And it has 2 big ears and wings? Oh no, this blindfold doesn't match my current style. Can I return it? It seems like I don't have enough time. Millions of people are waiting for me to show off my power. If I forcefully return it now, it will affect the rhythm. It's like watching an award ceremony and forcefully interrupting the advertisement when the XX winner of the year is about to be announced. Forget it, I admit defeat. Therefore he paused for a while and finally put on the Mickey Mouse blindfold that Xiaofang passed to him. Pfft. The police officer burst into laughter. Ahem, be serious, be serious. Don't make any noise and disturb Qin Guang. Another police officer reprimanded with a straight face. Then he covered his mouth and turned his face to the side. The live broadcast room was also filled with laughter. I'm calling the police. Aren't the police just next to us? I'm laughing so hard. Oh my god, I can't take it anymore. I'm laughing so hard that my butt hurts. Just when everyone was laughing, Qin Guang suddenly made his move. His big hand shook violently and 8 darts flew out brazenly, heading straight for Xue Lin. He really shot. Brother, you're a blind man with your eyes covered. Can you be a little more reliable? Do you really want to poke the handsome little guy into a hornet's nest? For a moment, the national average temperature rose by 2 degrees. Because the people who were sitting on their computers or watching the live broadcast on their mobile phones all sucked in a cold breath at the same time. All the cold air was sucked into their stomachs. I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. This is crazy, crazy, crazy. Who can stop this lunatic? Who can save the handsome little guy? Brother All-Rounder is going to heaven. He has once again refreshed my outlook on life. Under the dumbfounded gaze of countless people, a string of darts bombarded little Xue, who was sprawled on the ground like a machine gun. After a short while, people finally had the courage to turn their attention to the big wheels camera. They saw that the elite warrior with a heart of stone and a body of steel, little Xue, was actually so scared that he closed his eyes tightly, and beads of sweat the size of beans dripped down from his forehead. Brother, this method of testing my willpower and courage is too sudden. You're blindfolded. Is this the legendary pear blossom darts that blindfolded? Although I don't want to admit it, I'm really scared to the point of peeing. After a long time, the continuous shooting of darts like a storm finally stopped for a short while. Everyone thought to themselves, since this is blindfolded, he definitely can't be as crazy as usual, right? He should end here, right? Everyone thought so in their hearts. Then Qin Guang quietly pressed the remote control. Time and space change, the split scene, the reincarnation turns with the same belief. Damn, he's singing. If I hadn't heard Son Stephanie's Amazing yesterday, I would have almost heard your song as March of the Volunteers. Brother, you've gone off-key to the M78 Nebula. Feeling the vibration caused by the mechanical transmission behind him, and hearing Qin Guang's ear-piercing singing, Comrade Xue Lin shed 2 lines of regretful tears. Comrades, we were all wrong. He didn't plan to stop at all. Spinning blindfolded, there's definitely no other dart acrobatics performance on Earth that's more intense than this. No, this can't be called acrobatics, this is called courting death. Speed up. Help. He's still speeding up. Come on. Speed-changing spiral of destruction. The name of the move has been upgraded again. The club owner and several police officers who were in charge of escorting and watching the show were completely dumbfounded and on the verge of collapse. On the other hand, the few girls at the front desk who had nothing better to lose became more and more confident. While Qin Guang kept asking for darts, Xiaofeng and a few other girls quickly moved all the boxes of darts from the club. Finally, the storm stopped again. The basket beside Qin Guang's hand was empty. There were no more darts. The number of viewers in the live stream officially exceeded 8 million at this moment. These were not agreement numbers, nor were they zombie fans, these were real live 8 million people. This meant that out of 187 people in the country, 1 person was watching Qin Guang's live stream. This number of viewers could even compete with the World Cup. It's over, it's finally over, they're free. The people's hearts that had been hanging in midair began to slowly fall. No one thought that watching someone throw a dart could be so exciting, their little hearts were about to be squeezed to the point of bursting. At this moment, the blindfolded Qin Guang still did not take off his blindfold. Instead, he spread his hands. Give me a knife. Oh no, give me a dart. Xiaofeng, whose mind was in a mess, suddenly stuffed the basket that had just been filled with darts into Qin Guang's hands. Here. *CK, you're still coming. Wait, what are you doing? It's just a game of darts, do you really have to do this? Is your Russian name, Don't Play Without Discomfort? When the people saw Qin Guang lift the basket with his right hand, it felt like he was watching the countdown before the Shenzhou 6 spacecraft took off. Even the calmest man with a heart of stone began to panic. At least you threw it with your hands before, now you're throwing it with a basket, how much is it worth? The police officers finally could not hold it in any longer, they rushed forward from the back. No? Xue Lin, who had just opened her eyes to catch her breath, saw the basket in Qin Guang's right hand and slowly shook her head with a pale face. No? All the viewers in the live stream, no? Chapter 470. Eat my great flame explosion of darts. Qin Guang roared as he grabbed the basket with his right hand and threw it forward. It was said that blindfolding could reduce a person's sense of shame by several levels. Qin Guang did not believe it in the past, but now he believed it. He would definitely not be able to shout out such a stupid line in his normal state. However, at this moment he shouted it out very calmly. It was so natural and casual as if it was predestined. The police comrade was still a step too slow. Therefore, the basket that was thrown out by his arm rolled in the air, and the darts inside scattered like locusts, covering Xue Lin like a dark cloud. It's over. Everyone cried in their hearts. A second later, the huge disc was filled with countless darts, and time seemed to stand still at this moment. Everyone stared at it, and then they opened their mouths, thinking that they must have been blind. Xue Lin's body was completely stuffed with darts, up and down, left and right. There was not the slightest gap, not even the gap between his toes. The darts were arranged so closely that the trypophobia sufferer averted his gaze immediately. However, Xue Lin was still unharmed. Not only that, there was not a single dart on the wall behind the big disc. This meant that he had done it again. He had blindfolded himself and blindfolded himself, but he had done it. Not a single dart hit the meat target and not a single dart had missed the target. Qin Guang took off his blindfold and threw it aside in a very handsome manner. Then he said, "It's done. Come down, young man. It's done." In an instant, the 8 million viewers in the live broadcast room cheered and celebrated in unison. He was finally free and his poor little heart no longer had to suffer. This handsome young man had finally made it, and his internet celebrity boyfriend Guang no longer had to wait for a jail cell. Thank God for the blessings of the gods. This guy who played with his life, played with other people's lives, used his irrefutable skills and soul-stirring performance to make everyone who watched his live broadcast realize one thing very clearly. He was indeed better at playing darts than anyone else. It was just a small dart, but it was played with elegance and style. It made people's hearts race, but it didn't kill anyone. Xiao Tsong, who had been waiting in the office for nearly 2 hours, slumped on the chair, exhausted. The cold sweat on his back gradually dried up and he felt a cool breeze. His forehead was sometimes swollen and sometimes comfortable. It was scary, but it was finally over. Although it was quite satisfying for Bamboo to follow Brother Almighty and win without doing anything this time, spending nearly 2 million yuan in publicity fees today and reaping tens of millions in return, it was still too scary. That afternoon, nearly 5 million new users were added to the platform. During Brother Almighty's live broadcast, the number of online viewers on the platform once again exceeded 10 million. In a sense, during Brother Almighty's live broadcast, Bamboo Live Broadcast had defeated Soy Milk and become the #1 platform in the industry. I really hope that this good brother will be online for 24 hours a day. Xiao Chong kept repeating this unrealistic thought in his mind. Qin Guang looked at the 8 million viewers in the live broadcast room with satisfaction. He gradually had a feeling that the Dart God statue was coming and he was very pleased about it. His effort had even caused Xiao Shui to be a human target for such a long time. At least his hard work paid off. Thank you for your support today. However, although darts are good, don't be greedy. I'd like to emphasize that my unique skills in darts have been professionally trained. I'm not bragging or lying. I'm the best in the world today. I welcome anyone to challenge me, but I don't welcome anyone to imitate me. Especially don't imitate me and use live performances. It's very dangerous, really very dangerous. Well, that's all for today. Well, see you another day. Before the live broadcast, Qin Guang rarely said goodbye to the audience. The signs that the Dart God statue was about to appear were slowly appearing in the sea of clouds. These guys who watched the live broadcast and sent bullet screen comments were the cornerstone of his statue. It was because of their widespread recognition that there was a statue. With the statue there would be faith value. The audience was a treasure and had to be coaxed. The all-around Superman's live broadcast room was temporarily closed. The bullet screen was full of exclamations, but this was the most popular sentence. You also know that it's dangerous. In any case, the success of Qin Guang's live broadcast this afternoon was unprecedented. Unlike the last time when he relied on celebrities to help him gain popularity, this time he won fair and square with the content of the live broadcast. This was the right way in the live broadcast industry. Of course, if it went too far it would be a crooked way. At the same time, the impact of his live broadcast in the national dart industry must be far-reaching. He subverted the traditional darts competition and completely changed the acrobatic performance in folk art. With his extraordinary skills and Little Shui's fearless cooperation, he brought the audience a crushing physical and mental stimulation, which made the audience love and fear him at the same time, and they couldn't stop watching. In the foreseeable future, when the documentary was produced and posted on the internet, it could even continue to spread the influence of this afternoon's live broadcast, which would bring endless benefits. Just like the racing documentary and other videos he released, these were video materials that could be transmitted for a long time. They could continue to ferment with the precipitation of time, for him to gain new fans and provide new faith value. At this time, Qin Guang didn't think too much about the future. He just closed his eyes tightly and immersed his thoughts in the sea of clouds in the world of cups. Standing on the wall of Yunqing far away, on the platform next to the champion shield of the statue of the god of knives, the statue of the world of dart slowly rose. This time it would probably be a dart that pierced the sky. Although it was quite domineering, would it duplicate the image of the statue of the god of pencils? It would destroy the overall beauty of the whole world of cups. Wait, what's this thing? Why is it a human head? When the whole statue stood on the platform, Qin Guang said that he wanted to return it. It's actually Shui Lin. Well, under normal circumstances, old man Shui's face isn't ugly, and it's even a little worse than me, but you have slanted eyes, raised eyebrows, tilted head and puckered mouth. Isn't this destroying the immortal aura of the old man's world of cups? I want to return it. Qin Guang waved his hand. Fortunately, the statue still had a chance to change its image. After a while, it was replaced with the big round plate that Shui Lin was tied to. It looked like a fruit plate and it was somewhat similar to the image of the champion shield next to it. However, it was much more pleasing to the eye than the ugly face. Qin Guang closed his eyes tightly and began to explore the production of faith value of the statue of the god of darts. After a while, he opened his eyes with some regret. The live broadcast audience had exploded to such an extent, but the daily production was only about 4,000. It wasn't as impressive as he had imagined. But after thinking about it carefully for a while, he also understood that although playing darts seemed to be a popular sport, not many people really liked or understood it. Even Qin Guang himself didn't understand the rules of the darts tournament. Although the number of viewers in the live broadcast room was large, most of them were just there to watch the fun. However, if the fans didn't personally participate in this matter, it would be difficult to form a strong and wholehearted worship in their hearts. The production rate of fanatical fans in darts was far less than that of esports. Although there were many ordinary fans and every ordinary fan or passerby could always provide a little faith value, the difference between the production capacity of fanatical fans and ordinary fans was not 1 or 2 orders of magnitude. Fanatical fans could provide a 2-digit number of faith points. The most common ones were ordinary spectators who came to watch the show. They might provide faith points with a few digits after the decimal point. One fanatical fan was equivalent to tens of thousands of ordinary fans. However, he soon became happy again. After all, more than 4,000 a day was already a lot, and it seemed that it was still slowly increasing. The potential was still very great. Right now, the total daily production capacity was close to 40,000 faith points. Today he had dug out a new value-added service from Azure. The effects of faith points were obviously not limited to what he had seen so far. Therefore, it was better to be prepared than not to have too many faith points. Today it was worth risking Shui Lin's life. Damn, when I have money I will learn from Murdoch and buy a media group to hype myself every day. Every day I will use different tricks to attract people's attention. When the matter was done, Qin Guang asked Shui Lin to go back and wait patiently. It was useless to be anxious. However, he was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he worked with the boss at the club to transfer the high-definition video recorded by the DV to a USB flash drive to take away. He planned to go back and find a way to make a film like Wang Qing's racing documentary. In addition, although the boss was frightened this time, it was a blessing in disguise. Through this afternoon's live broadcast, his club was considered to be a small hit in the country. The boss was also a straightforward person. The advertising fee in the original negotiated ladder contract was about 100,000 yuan a day. Now he took the initiative to increase the money to 200,000 yuan, doubling it. It was free money that Qin Guang didn't want, so he accepted it with a smile. In addition to the gifts he received in the live broadcast, he earned a total of 300,000 yuan this afternoon. Don't look at how easy it was for him to earn money. However, only Qin Guang knew how difficult it was. Without the endless years of hard training in the world and the cup, how could he have the skills he had today? Outsiders could only see the bright, happy and funny side of his success, but how could they understand the ups and downs when his body was full of darts and he was in so much pain that he wanted to die? Just as he was about to leave, a large group of people rushed into the club's hall. They were dressed in suits and leather shoes and they seemed to be in a hurry. Qin Guang didn't take it seriously. He just thought it was the club's customers, so he turned his face and planned to leave quietly. Unexpectedly, he had barely taken 2 steps when 3 middle-aged men in suits, who were walking at the front of the crowd, surrounded him in unison. "Mr. Qin, please wait." Chapter 471. The middle-aged man in the middle said as he reached out to stop Qin Guang. "What's the matter?" Qin Guang frowned as he was inexplicably stopped by people he did not know. His first reaction was to wonder if these people were from some charity and wanted to donate money to him. "We watched your live broadcast today and were amazed by you. We came all the way here to discuss something with you. Can we talk in private? The middle-aged man had a friendly smile on his face as he walked up quickly. Sure enough, they did not come with good intentions. Qin Guang was alarmed. I'm busy right now. I don't have time to talk to you. Even if I wanted to donate money, I wouldn't donate it to you guys. Look at your beer belly. You must be 5 months pregnant, right? Wouldn't it be better for me to sponsor a few poor female students? Without giving these people a chance to talk nonsense, he twisted his body, turned around, and ran out. The group of people who had just walked in were dumbfounded. Qin Guang's reaction was completely out of their expectations. The middle-aged man pointed at his face blankly. Do I look that scary? Everyone shook their heads. No, President, you look quite kind. Then why did he run away? The middle-aged man asked again. The crowd didn't answer because they didn't know what was going on either. At this moment, the club's boss came out of his office. When he saw the group of people, he quickly jogged over. President Liang, what brings you here? Are you here to look for Qin Guang? Didn't he just come out? Where's he? President Liang said with a bitter face. I don't know what happened. I didn't even say a few words to him and he ran away. I didn't even have a chance to express my intentions. Do you have his phone number? 2 to 3 minutes later, Qin Guang, who was standing outside waiting for the air conditioner to cool down, received a call. It was an unknown number. Who is it? I don't need insurance and I don't need financial products. I don't have plans to buy a house and I don't have a house to sell. I'm very patriotic and I haven't used the post office in a long time. I don't have a landline at home and I don't owe any bills. Besides, I'm not at work and there aren't any leaders who need to talk to me. I'll give you 3 seconds to tell me what you want or I'll hang up. With the old man's rich experience in dealing with phone scams, don't even think about pulling a hair off me. President Liang, who was on the other side of the phone, had never encountered such a situation. He was stunned for 3 seconds before he recovered. Mr. Qin, I am Liang Futsai, the president of the Dechuan branch of the China Darts Association. Don't hang up. Don't hang up. He was really scared. Although the president of a provincial branch of a civil association was not an impressive official, he had never talked to a civil expert who would ignore people without saying a word. If they hadn't been so awed by Qin Guang's amazing skills in the live broadcast earlier, President Liang would have slammed the table, smashed his phone and thrown a tantrum. China Darts Association? Qin Guang furrowed his brows and thought about it carefully. He seemed to have left in a hurry just now. He didn't realize that the group of people who came in really seemed to be sending letters and looking up. It seemed like they were on the same side now. Middle-aged men who sent letters and looking up were all good middle-aged men. Yes. Our China Darts Association is the only officially recognized governing body for the sport of darts in the country. It belongs to the General Administration of Sport and the Ministry of Civil Affairs. We are committed to. Liang Futsai let out a long sigh of relief. At least he could say something. Qin Guang was getting impatient. This man's tone reminded him of his high school principal. He could brag for hours about something that could be said in one sentence. If there's anything, let's cut to the chase. I'm quite busy. We would like to invite you to participate in the National Amateur Darts Championship. Liang Futsai continued. Thank you, but I am not free. Qin Guang hung up on him. Are you kidding me? I'm so busy. I have hundreds of thousands of people every minute. How can I go and participate in your unlucky competition? I am the god of darts, okay? You want me, the god, to compete with ordinary people? Isn't that pure bullying? There is no benefit. You are an amateur. You can go on TV at the Olympic Games and leave your name in history. I'm not on the same level as you. I can't communicate with you. I feel that you are humiliating the divinity of the god of darts. He hung up on Liang Futsai without hesitation. On the other end of the phone, Liang Futsai had a headache and stars all over his head. Why is this guy so difficult to deal with? He hung up on me without saying a word. It doesn't make sense. His temper was not so strange when he posted videos or Weibo on the internet. The club owner and several girls at the front desk felt sorry for Liang Futsai when they saw him being humiliated. They had been dealing with Qin Guang for a whole day today. Except for his self-opinionated behavior when throwing darts and his irreversible decisions, this public figure was actually quite kind and easy to get along with. Especially Xiaofeng. She felt that Mr. Qin was a model man. He was such an amiable and approachable big shot. You wouldn't be able to find him anywhere. It must be because President Liang is too annoying that Mr. Chen doesn't like you. President Liang, maybe he has something urgent? Why don't we contact him another day? The club owner came up to him and tried to comfort him. Liang Futsai nodded helplessly. All right, but tomorrow is the registration deadline. The competition is the day after tomorrow. I am anxious. Why must he participate? The owner asked. Liang Futsai sighed. Jean, you didn't even know about the live broadcast you were doing? The owner was puzzled. I have been filming and didn't have time to watch the live broadcast. Is there something wrong with his live broadcast? Liang Futsai slapped his thigh. I, Liang, am an old hand. I didn't used to watch these young people's stuff. It was only when the higher-ups suddenly called me and asked me to go back to the office to take a look. That's why I asked the young people in the association to show me. Scared me. Is online media so advanced now? Oh my god. That's 8 million viewers. 8 million. Although we are in the darts business, you know how unpopular this business is. Do you know what 8 million people's attention means to us? Let me tell you a secret. Even the finals of the World Darts Championship may not have this many viewers. Just by watching him on the internet, he has 8 million viewers. This is an opportunity. This was a great opportunity. Whether they could make use of this opportunity to promote the darts movement or not, it all depended on this opportunity. Right now, Qin Guang is a public figure and this skill of his is unprecedented. As long as we can pull him into our amateur tournament, as long as he's willing to compete seriously and win along the way, we can continue to promote him and his popularity will soar. Isn't he getting all the benefits? Jean was puzzled. Liang Futsai laughed. He's already so famous. How much benefit can he get if he becomes even more famous? But you have to think about it this way. With him participating all the time, how much attention can we get for this competition where we have to get strong men to sign up? We will be riding on his coattails. Let me tell you, why is our country's darts movement not famous? It's because we lack a leading figure. A leading figure like Xiao Hui who plays billiards. As long as we operate it well, we can make everyone feel that even celebrities are having a great time playing darts. And that playing darts can cultivate one's sentiments, be stylish and be exciting. Then we can make our unpopular sport popular. This is a great opportunity to promote the darts movement. Mr. Jin's eyes lit up when he heard that. He had started this niche project purely because of his personal preference. Unfortunately, the market was so big and there were only a handful of people playing around. If it was really as President Liang said, it would be great news for his club. Jin laughed. Does that mean we can make a comeback? Liang Futsai glared at him. Tui tui tui. What do you mean by a salted fish? Look at how unambitious you are. Jean joked. Yes. I am a salted fish. President Liang, you are not a fish. Isn't a salted fish worse than a salted fish? Xiao Fong covered her mouth and giggled. Liang Futsai didn't notice Boss Jin's slip of the tongue. He still clapped his hands excitedly. Moreover, it's not our Dachuan branch's decision. It's the decision of the headquarters of the Yanjing Escort Association. Before I set off, the headquarters also gave instructions. When we first started the Escort Association, the slogan of National Darts for All has become a big joke. We have been waiting for this opportunity for so many years. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Jin's blood was boiling and he was so excited that he was seeing stars. After a long time he hung his head dejectedly. But he doesn't seem interested at all. Sigh. President Liang sighed. Sigh. The other middle-aged men also sighed in unison. For a moment the hall was filled with mournful cries. It was a miserable sight. After a long time, Qin Guang, who earned hundreds of thousands of yuan every minute, was sitting in front of his computer, bored. He went home and turned on his newly installed computer, but he wasn't in the mood to play games. Although the computer was good, he wasn't in the mood to fight. Throwing away the mouse, he lay on the sofa and began to think about his next step. Although he was now an internet celebrity, it was obvious that it was very difficult to build a statue by relying on Weibo's promotion alone. So far, only a pencil statue had been successfully built by relying on Weibo's videos. The pencil statue came so easily because there was no competitor at all. There was no comparison and no one would be dissatisfied after seeing it. Who would think about how to sharpen a pencil? So there was no doubt that Brother Almighty was the best in the world. As for the others, whether it was the alto statue, the Dota champion's shield, the piano, or even the recently completed dart statue, they all relied on winning the competition, live broadcast on TV or the internet, cooperation from many parties, and a certain degree of accumulation before they could be completed. So the problem was there were only about 40 days left before the 2-month deadline given by Lu Li. How should he deal with the unlucky Kirin arm and the pile driver? Chapter 472. The Qilin arm was a derivative reward of the punishment realm. Although the training process was slightly shameful, its true meaning should be specifically referring to arm strength or explosive power. However, Qin Guang still hadn't figured out where the entry point of the Qilin arm statue was. Should he try punching on the strength testing machine, or should he participate in a fighting competition? He had no clue. As for the pile driver, he understood the principle and knew what to do. But he had the heart but not the guts. Otherwise, how could he raise his head in the future? If he really did that and this kind of thing spread to his hometown, to the ears or eyes of his 7 aunts and 7 aunts, what kind of expression should he use to face them? What kind of sad state of mind should they look at him with? When he thought of these two things, he felt a headache and he had the impulse to feel like he had nothing to live for. The ancient people said that it was not a burden to have more skills. The saying was a lie. These two ultimate skills were about to crush people. In addition, although the recent harvest of faith points was increasing every day, the increase was really not completely satisfactory. Until today he had barely touched the edge of the daily production capacity of 40,000. If he wanted to customize a line of Heavenly Cup, he would need at least 6 million faith points, which was too far away. According to the current harvest, plus the 600,000 that he had promised Xuelin in advance. Who knew how long it would take to save enough faith points for a customized service? He didn't have the goods on hand. If he encountered an emergency, he would panic if he couldn't come up with something to save his life. For example, he had already forced Big Beard Deng and Jiang Yage to make a movie contract with the temporary title Women, which was a potential big trouble. Back then when he was down and out, he was kind. The entire crew followed him and worked hard under the sun for an afternoon. Big Beard Deng withstood the pressure and gave them a chance. He even gave them money. He couldn't forget his roots now that he was rich. He wasn't such a person. Previously, when he was arguing with Zhang Tianming on the internet, Big Beard Deng was so generous that he made it clear that he supported Zhang Tianming. Zhang Tianming could not say anything else and was a kind person. Now that Uncle Big Beard had already said it and Jiang Yage had also confirmed it on Weibo in the hearts of the fans, it had become a done deal. It was indeed not very kind of them to undermine him at the last moment. Qin Guang really wanted to tell Big Beard Deng that his acting that day was actually useless. It was all hypnosis. However, no one would believe such words. Instead, they would think that he was being perfunctory. To say that he was being perfunctory would be an understatement. He was simply bluffing. He was too ashamed to face anyone. A man lives with his face, a tree lives with its bark. His head can be cut off, his blood can flow, but his face cannot be lost. How helpless. He wasn't the only one who was suffering. The senior leaders of the Wuxia Escort Association, along with President Liang of the Dachuan branch, were all frowning in the conference call. Little Liang, you said that he didn't want to talk to you at all? Yes, he ran away before I could finish my sentence. Later, I got through to him on the phone and introduced myself, but before I could finish talking about the amateur championship, he hung up on me. I was so angry that I beat my chest and stamped my feet. Liang Futsai poured out his grievances into the phone. Everyone in Yanjing was silent when they heard that. Everyone was puzzled and had a headache. Young man, don't you like this kind of thing? We just want to hitch a ride and become famous with you. Why is it so difficult? Let's talk about it. Don't hang up on me so easily. What should we do now? Talk to him about ideals? That young man was obviously not interested. Others were already at that level in darts. Even the world champion was not a problem. Talk about ideals, my ass. Talk to him about money? Jean Shiyue's boyfriend was obviously not short of money. Others could earn hundreds of thousands in one afternoon. It was better not to humiliate themselves. Honey trap. There were a few pretty girls who had just graduated from the escort association. All right, his girlfriend Jean Shiyue was still a mountain that could not be avoided. How many people were more beautiful than Jinshiriwe? What should I do to persuade him? Why do I feel more hopeless the more I think about it? At this moment, the door of the remote conference room in Yanjing was pushed open. A girl in purple walked in quickly. She didn't greet the others but sat on the main seat in the middle of the conference room. She looked around with a straight face and frowned slightly. The gloomy atmosphere in the room trembled and became even more gloomy. Liang Futsai narrowed his eyes and stared in the direction of the seat of honor in the video in front of him. He wanted to see who was sitting there, but he soon shook his head helplessly. He couldn't see clearly, only a black shadow. He didn't know if the lights in the conference room were deliberately blocked or removed. Everywhere else was brightly lit, except for the seat of honor at the long table, which was pitch black. He still could not see what the new president looked like. Liang Fatsai's heart itched uncontrollably and he was in extreme pain. Last week, the old president of the Escort Association was suddenly promoted. The few vice presidents were all eager to get promoted. Just when the few of them were jumping up and down, a new president suddenly appeared out of nowhere. At that time, these old gentlemen were angry and unhappy. Although we belong to the headquarters in the Ministry of Civil Affairs, you can't just appear out of nowhere. You have to at least let us know who the person is, where he used to be and what he does. We know that the president of the Escort Association is usually a director position in the headquarters and is a very important position in the system. We are just trying to make our presence known. We don't really want to become the master. But isn't this too sudden and violent? We even have reason to think that the previous president, who seemed to be promoted but was actually changing his position to retire, was brought away by this new president. We are a civilian association. We want to be independent. You have to respect the opinions of us seniors. Even if it's just to ask us if we agree or not, it's fine. We don't really dare to go against the headquarters. Therefore, the few vice presidents thought of an idea. Before the new president came to give his inauguration speech, they ordered people to lock the door of the Escort Association's conference room and deliberately left him outside for a while. At the very least, they had to make this person who appeared out of nowhere suffer a little. After that, they could just say that the door lock was broken and they didn't pay attention to it. We have dissatisfaction in our hearts and we will let you know. At that time, they didn't really intend to lock the door for long. It was just a few minutes. Then the new president came and pushed the door twice, but it didn't open. The few old vice presidents covered their mouths and snickered. They felt that this was a good show of strength. Then a fair and slender hand pierced through the solid wood door of the conference room and opened the door from the outside. The solid white birch door was cut open like tofu by this hand. The new president only took 2 seconds to declare her sovereignty, which instantly stabilized the undercurrent of the association. Then she simply said a few words and decided on the next year's plan in the shortest time possible. She wanted to make the slogan of National Darts, which had been used to establish the association, no longer be empty talk. They had to do everything they could to promote the sport of darts across the country as soon as possible. The few senior vice guild leaders had never thought that he would be so easy to talk to, but their attitude had changed drastically and swiftly. Since ancient times, those who achieved great things did not bother with trifles. Those who knew how to adapt to the circumstances were heroes. We are all heroes who want to achieve great things. Of course, we have to follow in the footsteps of the headquarters, resolutely implement the guidance of the headquarters, and dedicate our last ray of light and heat to the sports industry of our motherland. People had to lower their heads when they were under someone else's roof. The unlucky new president's inauguration speech went like this. I am Xen Qin, Xen as in hard work, Qin as in spring. I am your new president. Let me give you a few simple words. The association has been established for 12 years. Go to the elementary schools in Yanjing, find a class and ask them how many of them like to play darts. What have you done for the past 12 years? The total prize money for the champion of the China Darts League is 100,000 yuan. What can you do with 100,000 yuan? Everyone plays darts? Where is it? Where are the citizens? A year later I will do a survey myself. I will ask 1,000 elementary school students in Yanjing City, and less than 10 of them know how to play darts. The entire association change. The organizer change. Then she left. That's right. She left without a trace. The vice president who followed her out asked the staff outside, but none of them saw anyone go in or out. It was as if there was some kind of ghost. The higher-ups of the association in the meeting room were really worried. When she came in to speak, no one dared to raise their heads. We didn't even see what you looked like and you left. The group of people looked at each other, but the red-headed document from the headquarters that followed made them break out in a cold sweat. Really was Xianxia. After the inauguration speech of the new president, they didn't even know what she looked like. They only knew from her voice that she was a very young girl. In the next few days, the new president was still elusive. She didn't come to the association even once, but no one dared to relax. Their hearts were all stretched taut. Especially the senior employees. They had been here all their lives. How could they be willing to be kicked away when they were old? What could they do? Hurry up and think of something. Man proposes, God disposes. Regardless of whether they could do it or not, they had to try. It was because of the new president's instructions that when Qin Guang appeared on the internet out of nowhere, the senior leaders of the association were so enthusiastic. They racked their brains to pull Qin Guang into the association. But now they had died before they could achieve anything. Their hot-blooded hearts bumped into Qin Guang's butt, which made them feel indescribably depressed. At this moment their new president had appeared, which made them even more depressed. Hence they hung their heads even lower. She lightly patted the table and said, "Your ideas are good, but your ability to do things is too poor. I will go personally." Chapter 473. As soon as she finished speaking, the door to the conference room swung open and then shut with a bang. She was gone again. Coming and going without a trace. "Are you Nie Xiaoqian from Lanrua Temple?" The vice presidents looked at each other and looked up. They still did not see what she looked like. "Everyone, what do we do now?" On the other end of the conference call, Liang Futsai was sweating profusely as he looked at his colleagues from the Security Association headquarters. His heart ached for them. An old man shrugged and pouted. "What else can we do? The president is coming personally. Let's wave the flag and cheer for her." "Well, I don't think I saw the president's face clearly. There is no photo in the file. How am I going to welcome her when she comes to the 5 capitals?" Liang Futsai asked again. "We haven't seen what she looks like either." "Huh?" Liang Futsai was dumbfounded. He cursed in his heart. "Why don't any of you look up? If all of you are like this, how am I going to carry out my work? How did I end up with you group of leaders?" "Little Liang, go to the airport when the time comes. If you see a single girl, go up and ask. I estimate that the president should be around 20 years old," an old man said. "I think 18, another old man said. Another vice president slammed the table. "Impossible. Her voice is almost as bright as my granddaughter's." 16. The oldest vice president was enraged. "Nonsense. How could the headquarters send an underage girl to be the president?" "Then how old do you think she is, old Zhao?" Old Zhao pinched his chin mysteriously. "God knows." "Then why are you shouting?" "Right, the hand she used to break the door that day didn't seem very big. She shouldn't be very tall and her hand is quite thin. So, you guys are all palm readers." Liang Futsai had heard a few days ago that the new president was mysterious and did not believe it. He finally experienced it today. They had already had 2 meetings, but no one knew what she looked like. He felt sorry for himself and the seniors in the headquarters. From then on, Liang Futsai could only confirm one thing. The president of the Security Association would be coming to the 5 capitals tomorrow. The president was a very young woman. Her exact age was unknown. Her appearance was unknown. She was not tall but definitely not fat. Which flight he did not know. There was nothing else. Liang Futsai thought, "I'd better find a rope to strangle myself to death tomorrow. I'm going to pick him up with my head." Dong dong dong. It sounded like someone was knocking at the door. The next afternoon, Qin Guang was scrolling through Weibo on his computer. He was reading private messages one by one. Recently, some shameless friends had sent him private messages which really troubled and distressed him. Recently he had become more and more famous and had more and more fans. There were more than 100 fans of all shapes and sizes. There were also more and more fans like Xiaofeng who spoke out of line. As the population base grew, beautiful female fans were rare in the beginning, but now there were more and more of them. Although he didn't dare to do anything, he still looked at the photos sent over by his friends and criticized them in his heart. This was something that Qin Guang never got tired of. It was really a case of dazzling flowers gradually blinding one's eyes. Spring after spring had passed. Therefore it must be that the residents upstairs or downstairs knocked on the wrong door. They hadn't bought anything online recently, so the express delivery wouldn't come upstairs. After waiting for a while, the knocking on the door didn't stop. Instead, it got louder and louder as if someone was smashing it with a hammer. It's not over yet, is it? You're using force, aren't you? Qin Guang threw the mouse down angrily and walked to the door, clenching his fists. If the person standing outside was a drunkard who had walked into the wrong door, he would beat him up until he doubted his life. If it was a beautiful neighbor who had just moved in, he would even consider going through fire and water for her. When he opened the door, the experienced and knowledgeable old Master Guang was stunned. It wasn't that his willpower was weak, but the loli was too cute. What did I see? A loli who had fallen from the sky. She was wearing a purple chiffon dress and had long black hair that fell over her shoulders. She was short and petite, about 1.5 meters tall. Her figure was thin but not overly thin. Instead, it was just the right amount of slender. She seemed to have lost a bit of spirituality and lacked a bit of liveliness. Her large crystal-clear eyes were so bright, like the moon in mid-autumn. Her long eyelashes were so mischievous, like little elves cheering and jumping. Her fair and tender face made people afraid that they would burst if they breathed too heavily. Her baby face was adorned with a little baby fat, and her cherry lips seemed to shimmer. Qin Guang sucked in a breath of cold air. Where did this little fairy come from? She had walked into the wrong door. When it came to beautiful women, if he said that he was ignorant and ill-informed, he would definitely be laughed at. If he said that he was knowledgeable, he would be being overly modest. But he had never seen such a cute little loli before. She was so cute that his face was practically bleeding. He was too damn cute. As a newly promoted young weird uncle, he had no resistance at all. How good did her parents' genes have to be to give birth to such a perfect and flawless loli that made people feel tender and loving at first sight? I used to think that I could become a firm and upright gentleman, but now I found out that I was wrong. That was only because the loli I had met in the past were not cute enough. After a short moment of stiffness and sluggishness, a bright smile bloomed on his face. Qin Guang felt that he probably hadn't smiled so warmly in many years. I give myself full marks for this smile. Little girl, what do you need Big Brother's help with? Qin Guang said in a voice so gentle that it could make his scalp tingle. Which family's parents were so careless that they actually let such a cute little loli go missing alone? It was simply unforgivable. The girl in purple was not moved by Qin Guang's earth-shattering smile. She only looked at him expressionlessly. Why are you different from what they said? What? Qin Guang was stunned and asked. He originally thought that this little loli came to the wrong family, but the first sentence she said was unexpected. Before, many people said that you were difficult to deal with, but you are so polite. I originally planned to beat you up first, then have a good talk with you, but now I can't make up my mind. The girl in purple was still expressionless. She said that she wanted to beat him up, but her expression seemed to be saying that today's weather was really good, such a casual and ordinary family matter. Qin Guang realized that something was wrong. Listening to her words, it seemed like someone asked her to find him for something. I don't know you. You may have found the wrong person, but if you are lost or separated from your family, I can help you contact your family. Also, you are a child, so don't just say that you want to beat people up. It's not polite. This little loli looked like she was about 14 or 15 years old. In fact, she should have passed the age where she would get lost, but Qin Guang still took the initiative to make this suggestion in the spirit of doing good every day to help others. However, he never expected that the purple-clothed lady would take a step forth and enter Qin Guang's room. Qin Guang was puzzled. He felt that she was mentally abnormal. He thought that she might be autistic, which was troublesome. He was afraid that he had to call the police. Before Qin Guang could speak, the girl in purple suddenly turned around, stared at him and said so. You must participate in the China Amateur Darts Championship. She finally had a little emotional fluctuation. When she said this, there was a flash of fanaticism in her eyes. Qin Guang suddenly understood. Is this little loli a lobbyist hired by the Darts Association? Thinking of this, he couldn't help but be angry. Why are those people like dog skin plaster? I can't get rid of them no matter how hard I try. I have already rejected them so decisively, but they still come to pester me and come directly to my house. It's fine if they come to my house but they actually want to use a honey trap on me? It's fine if you use a honey trap but you should at least find an adult. He sent a little lowly and she is so cute. Are you trying to harm me? Am I someone who will fall for a honey trap? What kind of small fry do you think I am? Of course. I have to agree. He almost blurted out his agreement. At the critical moment his remaining integrity finally awakened, and he successfully suppressed his weird behavior. It reminded him of his original intention. The amateur darts championship was really meaningless. It would be better to stay at home and think about the Kirin arm and the pile driver statue. Although I don't want to make you sad, I really don't want to participate in any competition. It's such a waste of my precious life. He said this, then looked at the girl in purple expectantly. He thought, although my will is as strong as a rock, as long as you ask me softly I will immediately agree. Although you look underage I can wait for you. Is that so? This is really troublesome. The girl in purple did not beg him. Instead she said in an extremely calm tone as if she was also very distressed. Yes, please thank the leaders of the escort association for me. I appreciate their kindness but I am really not interested in the competition. The gap between me and others is too big. I really don't want to bully others. I should leave the opportunity to those who really like darts. Qin Guang was speaking the truth. Whether you like darts or not you have to go. Impossible. Qin Guang said righteously. You are not even begging me, why should I agree? Then there is no other way. The girl in purple finally had an expression again. She frowned as if she was distressed. Qin Guang's little heart was about to melt. Oh my god, I can't take it anymore. She's too cute, really too cute. Her frown is like the rare warm sun in December. Wait, what did she say? There's no other way? Is she giving up so soon? That's not good, right? Accept my challenge, Qin Guang. You have to participate in this competition. Suddenly, the purple-clothed girl said heavily. Then with a shake of her hand, 3 darts flashing with a dark light appeared in her palm. They were not the winged darts used in competitions, but the plum blossom darts described in Wuxia novels. What the hell? Where are these weapons of mass destruction hidden in your dress? Just a second ago you were a cute little girl and suddenly you took out the darts to challenge me. The change is too fast, I can't take it. Chapter 474. Stop fooling around. You're still young. I won't blame you. Although the weapon in the girl's hand looked powerful, Qin Guang could not muster up any fighting spirit just by looking at her face. Your posture looks very professional and your expression is also very cold, but you are still a little Lolita. As a gentle and kind big brother, how can you casually make a move on a little sister? Do you know that I have a pair of Qilin arms? Once I attack, the mountains will collapse, the seas will dry up, the rocks will rot away, and the sun and moon will lose their light? I'm not young. I'm Xianxia. I'm already 18. She finally said her name. Of course, this was the mysterious new president of the Armed Escort Association, Xianxia. Qin Guang waved his hand. Impossible. I'm not blind. You're 14 at most. You can't be any older. Xianxia was a little angry that her age was being questioned. She followed Qin Guang's gaze and lowered her head slightly, then said with a dark expression, "If you look at my chest again I'll get angry." Uncle Qin Guang was a little embarrassed to be exposed in front of him. Tui. Who's interested in looking at your little washboard? How would you know if I'm a washboard if you don't look? Also, you judge my age based on the size of my chest, right? Xianxia clenched the darts in her hand even tighter. Her extremely fair skin blushed faintly either from anger or shyness. I can't be bothered to talk nonsense with you. Anyway, you look like my 13-year-old niece. Really, why are you pretending to be an adult? Leave, I won't agree to any of your requests. As for your challenge, I won't accept it either. I don't have the habit of abusing children. Then don't blame me. Suddenly, Xianxia's hand shook violently. In the blink of an eye, 3 darts flew past the tip of Qin Guang's nose. Ding, 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 they landed on the wall clock that Zhou Xian had carefully selected for Qin Guang. Qin Guang turned to look at the hour, minute, and second hands, as well as the broken glass cover and wall clock. Faster, thief. Are you crazy? How did you know? As she retreated, she took out her weapon again. This time it's your computer. Xianxia was still expressionless. Qin Guang was anxious, but it was too late for him to jump forward to block it. Besides, he didn't know how powerful this crazy Loli's plum blossom dart was. He didn't dare to catch it with his hands. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw the box of darts on the shoe cabinet and immediately reached out to grab it. Xianxia had already made her move. Her slender hand shook again, and this time 4 plum blossom darts flew out, heading straight for the 4 corners of Qin Guang's computer monitor. Faster thief. I just bought a curved 4K UHD 144Hz esports monitor. Over $8,000 in cash. An otaku's love for computers could transcend time and space and ignore race. In order to protect his wife, Master Guang's mind raced and he was in a good state. His Kirin arm burst out and he grabbed 4 darts from the box and threw them out. 4 consecutive sounds of metal colliding could be heard. The 4 plum blossom darts that Xianxia shot out were actually pinned to the wall behind the monitor by 4 ordinary darts thrown by Qin Guang. That was close. Just a hair's breadth away. Have you had enough? I'm telling you, I can't participate in your stupid competition. Get out. Even though you're a God-given loli, you can't be too much of a bastard, right? Unless you apologize, I'll never forgive you. Where's my moral integrity? Forget it. Since she's so good-looking, everything can be discussed. Following Qin Guang's roar, the room finally quieted down. Xianxia, who was dressed in purple, lowered her head. Her shoulders began to shake, and her gauze skirt swayed along with her trembling. Qin Guang looked over. What's going on? Did I scare her because I was too fierce? How could I shout at a loli? Even if she burned down the house, she's still a super cute loli that's hard to come by in 1,000 years. There's nothing that can't be discussed. It's all my fault. *ck, I'm blaming myself? Is it because she's too good looking or is my moral integrity too low? Forget it, I'll comfort her first. Don't cry. I didn't do it on purpose. How can I throw darts at other people's things for no reason? Forget it. It's not like I can't smash them. They're not worth much anyway. I'm rich. Qin Guang went up and tried to comfort her. Amazing. At this moment, Xianxia suddenly raised her head. How was she crying? She was clearly laughing. Her shoulders were shaking as she tried to hold back her laughter. Moreover, her laughter was quite strange at this moment. Qin Guang was confused. You were easily defeated by the old man, so why are you still so happy? Also, you're obviously laughing with your mouth wide open, but why do you give off a gloomy vibe? Qin Guang shrank back. *ck, is this her dark attribute awakening? Is she going to unlock more positions to fight 300 rounds with me? Should I check her ID later to confirm if she's really an adult? What the *ck am I thinking? Even though he moved later, he managed to nail my pinnacle 4-star combo to the wall. Too scary, too strong. Even my master couldn't do it. So strong. Big brother, you're so strong. Really strong. Wait a minute. If you say that, people will misunderstand me. After all, I didn't really do anything to you. Qin Guang pushed his hand away. I'm a decent person. Please don't say such ambiguous words. Alright, you've challenged and you've lost. Leave, I really don't want to participate in the competition. Xianxia instantly stopped smiling and stared at him with a pair of big eyes, revealing an incomparable determination. If you had lost to me, it would mean that you weren't as strong as you appeared in the live broadcast. Of course, I wouldn't invite you again. But now you can even beat me. Of course you have to participate in the competition. Qin Guang stared at her. After all this time, you're saying that I have to participate in the competition if I win. Why didn't you say so earlier? Suddenly, a light white aura slowly gushed out from the top of Xianxia's head, heading straight for Qin Guang. Others couldn't see it, but Qin Guang recognized it at a glance. This was the familiar faith value. It didn't look very strong as her faith value was very thick. Wait a minute. Faster thief. The next moment, the white aura suddenly became countless times thicker. It gushed out from the top of her head and condensed into a column with a diameter of about half a meter in midair. Then it fiercely rushed towards the heavenly holy grail beside Qin Guang's hand. When it got close, it suddenly shrunk and was sucked in. So *king thick. Qin Guang picked up the cup and slightly sensed it. He was stunned. So far, the largest amount of faith value given by a single fanatic fan was 25 units from Thailand's Sissy Pan Junyao. Today, a new record had been broken, and it wasn't just a little bit. This lowly's faith value was as high as 40 points. It was twice as high as Lu Fei's. It was even higher than Thailand's Sissy by 15 points. Oh my god. Lu Fei's 20 points of faith value was already enough to turn her into a fanatic demon. Little girl with 40 points, you want me to play a game of multiple mouths? I can't calm down. After teachers were left, I feel like spring is coming again. Wait a minute, I have to restrain myself. She's still so young. She must be lying when she said she was 18 years old. I can't become a shameful, despicable scumbag who poisons underage girls. Wait a minute, I seem to have discovered something. Earlier she didn't have a single cent of faith value, but after losing to me, her faith value instantly exploded. Qin Guang felt as if he had discovered a new continent. This proved one thing. A true fanatic could only be produced from those who knew the ropes. She definitely loved darts, the kind that was crazy about it. Her skill level was indeed very high, so after losing she could especially understand the strength of the old man, so she worshipped him even more fervently than others. However, the more knowledgeable they were, the more arrogant they were. It seemed like the only way to get faith value from them was to defeat them. No wonder the production rate of darts was so low. As long as he operated well, it wasn't impossible for him to be as awesome as Otto's statue. Needless to say, Qin Guang was a very realistic person. Previously he was bewitched by the lowly's cuteness, but in the end he steeled his heart and didn't participate in the competition. He also didn't like Xen Qin's sudden change of heart. Now it was different. Just based on the 40 points of faith she gave, he had to find her pleasing to the eye. Hand over the faith value and from then on we will be on the same side. Alright, just based on your fanatical faith value, even if you want to execute the old man on the spot, the old man will definitely not object. You really won't agree? Then I can only die in front of you. While Qin Guang was in a daze from the surge of faith, Xen Qin suddenly pulled out a dagger flickering with a pitch-black luster from her back and placed it on her neck. Qin Guang was dumbfounded. *CK, your brain works a little too fast. You're even more arrogant than me, committing suicide because of a disagreement? Seeing that he didn't reply, Xen Qin actually made her move. With a light pull of the dagger, a line of blood appeared on her neck. Hey, wait a minute. Don't be anxious. Alright, at least let me know what the heck the amateur championship is, right? Damn, you're for real. Actually, I'm not very clear either. Xen Qin put down her knife. Qin Guang felt that he was about to break down. You don't even know what the tournament is and you're trying to threaten me with death? Your brain circuit is not on the same level as mine, right? How stupid must a person be to trick me like this? As she said that, she put her hand behind her back and rubbed it for a moment, then took out a crumpled piece of paper. Here, this is the competition flyer. Look at it yourself. Are you Doraemon or something? Is there a bag on the back of your dress? How on earth do you keep taking things out from your back? Qin Guang rolled his eyes and took the flyer, which was still warm and humid. After looking at it for about 30 seconds, he slapped his thigh. Hey, so this competition is so awesome, you guys should have said so earlier. Really, it's so troublesome, it's a misunderstanding. Chapter 475. It turned out that the China Amateur Darts Championship wasn't as amateurish as its name suggested. It was a national competition that the association had been planning for a long time under the guidance of the general administration. Perhaps it was the old president's final struggle. Large investments, large publicity, and high standards were all to expand the influence of darts across the country. It was considered as more than half of the association's budget for this year. The poor old president couldn't last until the start of the competition and was replaced by Lolita Xen Qin, who had a strong background. The contestants had to be amateurs. The country was divided into 5 divisions, with Sichuan province in the Southwest Division. 15 contestants from each division would be selected to go to Beijing to participate in the finals. The top 20 contestants in the finals would receive a professional athlete qualification certificate directly from the Escort Association, and would become registered athletes with the General Administration of Escorts. But that wasn't the most important thing. The finals of each division would be broadcasted live on TV. The Southwest Division would be broadcasted live on the sports channels of 5 provincial TV stations, including Dechuan satellite TV. The finals of Beijing would be broadcast on CCTV5. That wasn't the most important thing. The champion of the China Amateur Darts Championship would have the opportunity to participate in the World Darts Championship that would be held in Beijing in 10 days, along with 2 other top-ranked professional players. That meant that as long as Qin Guang could win all the way, he would first be broadcast on the 5 provincial TV stations, then on CCTV5, and finally compete with the world's top players in front of the world's fans. It was like a stairway to heaven for the god of darts to go from being unknown to the world. Although it seemed like a fairy tale for an amateur to win all the way to the world, if it was Qin Guang, it wouldn't be a fairy tale. It would be a bulldozer crushing all the way. The word shu doesn't exist in my dictionary. I don't even know how to write the word shu. As long as he could win all the way and let more professional players see him in the arena, how could they not hand over their faith? Also, the live broadcast on the provincial TV stations CCTV5 and ESPN. How could the real darts fans who like to watch matches on TV not kneel? That's right, only those who understood darts could become true fans. Opponents in amateur competitions, opponents in the World Championship, professional players, everyone. None of you are human. All of you are my potential faith. If Qin Guang had known that this unlucky amateur tournament would bring him such a great opportunity, he wouldn't have refused it even if he was beaten to death. Look at your lousy names. Amateurs. Sigh, it's all lousy names that harm people. If you guys wanted to start a Wuxia escort king battle, I would have racked my brains to join, alright? You're just like the unlucky author of the book I'm chasing, kneeling before the title of the book. Xianxia was a little speechless as she looked at Qin Guang, who was beaming with excitement. In fact, she didn't like to talk much. She tried not to open her mouth if she could, but at this moment her heart really felt something. After spending so much effort, he had personally flown thousands of miles from Yanjing to Wujing City, and had also used his sex connections to find out Qin Guang's address. After he arrived, he had threatened him, challenged him, and forced him to come to an agreement. In the end, a flyer was placed in front of him and it was done. Xianxia hadn't experienced the feeling of anger for a long time. At this moment she really wanted to strangle the branch president of Wujing City. Forget it. If she hadn't come here personally, how would she have been able to witness such a terrifying ultimate skill? Although the two of them had exchanged blows for less than a second, as the youngest genius disciple of the Thousand Despair sect who had mastered the art of darts and concealed weapons, Xianxia knew all too well what Qin Guang's 4 darts represented. Even though he started later, he arrived first. His speed was faster, his accuracy was unparalleled, and his strength was tyrannical. The difference between the two of them was simply overwhelming. As she thought of this, Xianxia looked up at Qin Guang, and her eyes lit up even more. If she hadn't seen it with her own eyes, she wouldn't have dared to imagine that there was such a talented peer in the world. After reading the flyer, Qin Guang carefully placed it in his trouser pocket. He turned to Xianxia, who was staring at him in a daze, and smiled. It's decided. Little girl, you're a staff member of the Escort Association, right? Do you have any registration information with you? Should I fill it up now? No, Xianxia answered without hesitation. Qin Guang's face stiffened. Then what are you doing here? Looking at the registration time, it was almost time. Qin Guang decided to call the unknown number that he didn't save yesterday. It was Liang Futsai from the Dechuan branch. Hello, Mr. Qin. You finally called me. Is the president on your side? On the other end, Liang Futsai had been waiting in his office for the whole day. Although he was very reluctant, he still personally led the team to the airport to wait. He was really shameless. Whenever he saw a single woman coming out alone, he would go up and ask her. Not only did he not get any information, but he also almost called the police to sue him for harassment. In the end, he still returned empty-handed. After returning to his office, Liang Futsai had been on tenterhooks, afraid that the president would get lost. Suddenly, he received a call from Qin Guang, so he subconsciously asked. Qin Guang was stunned. President? No. I don't have a president here. Aren't you the president yourself? President Liang, it's like this. I want to register for the competition now, but it seems like I don't have enough time. What should I do? Liang Futsai was stunned. You're not there? Oh, you want to register? No problem. It's fine. Just send me a clear photo of both sides of your ID card. I'll settle the rest for you. After hanging up, Liang Futsai was still in a daze. He finally understood the suffering of his colleagues in Beijing. This new president's way of doing things was simply ridiculous. Forget it. Anyway, he heard from those seniors that the president could tear a door with her bare hands. It was better to worry for those who had ill intentions towards her than to worry for her. In less than 2 minutes, Qin Guang's photo was sent over, and Liang Futsai began to personally arrange for his registration. Actually, old Liang's worry was not wrong. At this moment, a certain someone had ill intentions towards their president. After reporting her name, this little girl didn't seem to have any intention of leaving. The righteous gentleman, Mr. Qin Guang, started to feel a little uneasy at the constant influx of faith from Xianxia's forehead. He thought to himself, this old man has a great reputation and I've held back for so long. Now I'm facing the greatest test of character in my life. Although I've barely withstood it, I really want to know what kind of posture I can unlock in one go with a daily production of 40 faith points. Little girl, big brother has already registered. Where are you going next? Qin Guang asked with a smile. Xianxia shook her head. I don't know. I see that you are good at using darts. Do you want to learn big brother's ultimate skill? Qin Guang could no longer hide his fox's tail. He continued to get closer with a warm smile on his face. Unexpectedly, Xianxia shook her head again. I don't want to learn. Qin Guang was confused. Why didn't you follow the script? Most of the lines that he had prepared were instantly useless. Why don't you want to learn? He still did not want to give up. Xianxia first looked at Qin Guang's hand. Then she raised her slender and fair hands slightly. I can't learn. How can you not learn? As long as you work hard, you can even grind an iron rod into a needle. Nothing in this world is difficult for those who set their minds on it. You can't give up so easily. You want to sleep with me, right? Impossible. You are too ugly. Suddenly, Xianxia changed the topic and said straightforwardly. Too ugly. What kind of aesthetic standards do you have? I have lived for 21 years with this face, okay? Also, how can you say that I want to sleep with you? You are too direct. You will definitely not have any friends like this. Hearing those words, Qin Guang sucked in a cold breath. Just how wicked of a family was it for them to produce such a wicked daughter? You call this ugly? He glared angrily and pointed at his own face. The little loli also pointed at her own face. Are you prettier than me? Qin Guang was speechless. Am I lost? Forget it. You go. I will go to the competition on time tomorrow. He felt that he could not chat with this little loli anymore. Otherwise, he was afraid that he would not be able to control his emotions. Unexpectedly, Xianxia shook her head. I won't go. Is she trying to cover it up? Qin Guang was overjoyed. He was about to speak. Big brother, your dart skills are indeed very good. I admire you very much. But this is different from dating. Master said that all men in this world are scum. If you talk to me for more than 10 sentences, you will definitely want to sleep with me. I have to guard against you. Speak. Who is your master? I promise I will not kill her. Qin Guang felt tired. He could not communicate with this little girl. Do whatever you want. I am too lazy to care about you. If you just want me to help you warm the bed, it is not impossible. Suddenly, Xianxia put her hand on the wall and said softly. Qin Guang smiled confidently. 5 minutes ago I will definitely fall for your trick. But now I have given up. From now on I will be more reserved. Okay. Damn, so shameful. But I have the habit of touching you when I sleep. I am afraid I will hurt you. Xianxia took back her hand from the wall. The cement was sprinkled on the floor from her fingers. Qin Guang's eyes widened. The place where she pinched was just the size of her palm. She used her thin and slender hand to dig out a piece of cement from the wall and crushed it into powder. This scene was very familiar. Qin Guang had seen this before. But the last time he saw this was Wenwen. That's right, inner force. This is definitely inner force. Oh my god, you are an inner force master. Why didn't you say so earlier? Really, he was too dishonest. He had not seen Wenwen for a long time. Among the people that Qin Guang knew, only Wenwen and her second uncle knew inner force. He never expected that after such a long time, it would actually reappear in this little loli with a strange background and even more difficult personality. You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.